did a public relations sports course at Carbondale, which she couldn't get at Edwardsville. And that is the area she wanted to go into. And it allowed her to get an internship. So for these various reasons, it was included in the SIU System Strategic Plan. Next slide, please. So our goal was to create the infrastructure by this fall, and you can see the results here. Now, if you remember, I said a student at Edwardsville took a course at Carbondale. So in the spring and the summer, we did a pre-prototype where we had 2 students from Edwardsville take courses, online courses at Carbondale in the spring, and vice versa. So just 2 students from Carbondale took courses in the summer at Edwardsville, just to iron out some of the kinks. This fall, we had 20 courses that were offered to be shared. We had 10 students that availed of those courses. So 10 students are currently enrolled in those courses. And as you can see there, there were 4 instructors from SIUC, 6 from SIU that are involved. You know, there's the courses are going on. And so students are getting courses that they couldn't get on their home campus. For the spring of 2024, we have 28 courses that we've identified for sharing. And you can see the types of courses this fall that are offered, quite an array of courses. So it's quite impressive. Next slide, please. So a few things that we've accomplished. Of course, I talked about the courses. We've created a website. So there's a website that's created for students, for advisors, for faculty. So if they want information, for example, students might want to get information about how they can get their ID on a host campus because, you know, they're doing a course at a different campus. Their textbooks, those kinds of things. So there's information on there. And of course, the system president, President Mahoney, talked about the future of enrollment. And we see that this is an area where we can hopefully not only share courses, you know, across our campuses, but hopefully we can expand that beyond. Next slide, please. So suffice it to say that we learned a lot of lessons and we overcame a lot of speed bumps, but that's a good thing because it helped us improve in the future the experience for the student. So where do we go from here? So we've set up the infrastructure, but what we're doing at this point is we're sharing individual courses. We just heard 1 day ago that we have a grant from the National Association of System Heads. They've changed their name now. National
Association of Higher Education Systems.
Higher Education Systems. So we just got a grant to develop degree and certificate pathways. So this is undergraduate and graduate degrees, certificate pathways. So sharing the strengths of the 2 universities, online degree pathways. So we're going to be planning for that in the next year. And the other thing we're going to do is, since we're doing all this manually, the registrars have always reminded us this is a lot of work, you know, all the things that go behind the scenes. So we're looking for an automated solution to make this much easier as we scale up and we have more students. So that's my quick report on the SIU system online.
A couple questions. Okay, currently we have 20 courses, 10 students. And then in the spring of 24, we're looking at 28 courses. How many students are you projecting?
So the students are still registering. We have 8 students registered up until this point. So we'll probably know at the beginning of next semester or at census date.
How are we marketing this process to really get the message out?
Yeah.
That this is a new initiative that will certainly benefit students, parents, and really tie the university system closer together.
Yeah. So at this point, since we were just building the infrastructure, the marketing was done for these 2 semesters through the advisors, you know, with the students. So it was a closed system where the advisors were signing students up. Now, as we move forward, you know, we've had several sessions with, you know, we've talked with Faculty Senate, we've talked to the other stakeholder groups. But what we intend to do is people who run these automated solutions, some of these do have, advertising processes built into this. So, so students on the campuses will know, these courses are available. Students at other universities will know they're available. We also have built a website, as you know. We've built a website. It's on the SIU system website where you can, it's actually called SIU System Online on there. So we've got to do, since we've just started the process, we've got to do a better job getting the word out. But we've been getting it out through advisors at this point for students that actually need the courses. So.
Other question?
I was just gonna add that, the new director for marketing and communications at the system level, when we hired him or her, this will be a big priority for them. This is, again, as you remember last meeting, I talked about our enrollment growth plans. This is a major part of it. And if all we're doing is having students from the two campuses take classes from each other, that's a good thing. But really what we're looking to do is advertise externally and attract more students because this is available. So that will be kind of the larger marketing. Once we have the infrastructure in place, is really a critical part of our future.
Are there other university systems out there that have really focused on this and they have it down? And are we looking at those universities for direction to
Yeah.
get this done?
Yeah.
So I can answer that. So because this was in our strategic plan, we applied to NASH, and we are one of 4 systems in a network improvement community that was selected nationally. So there's Montana, Texas State, SIU system. Montana is much further ahead of us. And there are several other systems that are considering cross registration, both within the system and outside. So I know that, Maine, they do it, and Alaska, they do it. So we're not new to this.
How about in Illinois?
In Illinois, we, to my knowledge, since University of Illinois system is the only other system, we're the only system now that's doing this project that I explained.
Yeah,
So-
I will say, South Carolina, when I was there, University of South Carolina does something very similar. And they probably had a few thousand students that they were able to recruit specifically because this was available. So it definitely helped their enrollment there.
Other questions from the academic?
Well, I have a comment and question because I have been talking to Dr. Gupchuk for last 2 days. On all these online courses, nationally and internationally, my concern is we need to have a safeguard where the person who is registered for the course, that person takes the exam and quizzes. They do replace students they do replace other people when they take the exam. And how can we make safeguard on those things?
Yeah, I mean, and as I mentioned, our IT departments have those security measures for the online courses that we offer. I mean, I know I was talking with Victor, we have responders, and I'm not an expert on everything, but Will probably knows all the things we have in place. Maybe you could.
Yeah, and this would be another area where we're not the first ones doing this by any
Yeah.
means. It's pretty common. My daughter does this on a pretty regular basis at her university, and even did it with, I think, her AP exam.
Mhm.
They did the same type of thing.
Right.
So to your point, Dr. Hightower, we don't want to be too late. We don't want to be laggards. So we want to be the early adopters, right? So we can capture the market.
Well, this is exciting. This is, we applaud you for your efforts, your work, and we really look forward to seeing how this develop and how you roll it out more impressively, I'll say, because again, tying the university system together, giving the students an opportunity to get courses, on one campus that's not offered or what have you. It just really benefits, the overall efforts of, what we're trying to accomplish. So I personally applaud you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
well, I think this is an area of growth that's gonna just explode, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, people are so used to online things and you know, as long as the security is there, the cybersecurity is there, it's just, I think this one may be one of the most growth areas we have in this university.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. Moving on, approval of minutes of the September 21st, meeting.
Second?
We have a, motion second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Hightower,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
Good deal. Moving on, informational, report, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Chair Hightower. Before I introduce Ruber, I must acknowledge, you said, you know, about the SIU system. I must acknowledge the team. Many of those are in the provost's office in the room, so they've done a great job. So the performance report, each year the SIU system submits a performance report to the IBHE. This year, the report involves our response to the 3 goals outlined in the IBHE strategic plan of Thriving Illinois. Each provost will highlight one success achieved under each of these 3 goals, which are equity, sustainability, and growth. I will request Provost Tucker to please present first, followed by Dean and Provost Cruz, and then Provost Cobb. Provost Tucker?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today to just give you a snippet in my 5 to 7 minutes of some of the things that are happening on the SIUC campus. First slide. So SIUC is committed to attracting and retaining students from all backgrounds and providing services that match the needs of those students. One of the programs I'd like to highlight is a national best practice for summer bridge programs. This is where you can bring students in early to start their college careers, to get them acclimated to that social and academic environment on the campus. Students in the Dr. Seymour Bryson Future Scholars Program can take up to 8 credit hours. They are here starting in July before our fall semester. And as you can see from the numbers, they're very successful in achieving over a 3.0 GPA in those classes and being ready then to start their college careers. The second program, many of you may be familiar with Chicago Hope Scholars. We are the largest partner outside of Chicagoland. And here we have a self-funded summer bridge program as well. And I'd like to play the video because I think it really speaks to how important this is to our students.
Looking forward to meeting new people, definitely get out there and experience new things, different cultures, different aspects of people, and of course studying something that I want to get into and pursuing what I would like to do. I'm looking forward to meeting new people and, you know, different experiences. You know, I ain't never been around this type of town, so it's gonna be different, but I gotta. Have fun. Yeah. Going to psych class, learn about the right.
And you can see that program is aptly named Hope Scholars. The second area, continuing our theme of access and opportunity for all, you know, higher education institutions are an engine for that talent development and economic growth, not only in our regions, but for our state, nation, and the world. And one of the ways we do this is through collaborative partnerships. It's a very important aspect. Saluki Step Ahead is one of those partnerships with community colleges. And this addresses making sure that students are advised from the day they start their associate degree at a community college so that those credits transfer into a degree if they choose to complete a baccalaureate. So Saluki Step Ahead is an online degree completion program that allows people to stay in place because many of those individuals are working adults who have family responsibilities and cannot move to a different institution. So right now we have 47 community college agreements and we are at 2,700 participation agreements. So we are working diligently to make sure in the state of Illinois and our region that our students can come to us and have those courses count. The other aspect of that, of course, is that career transition, the next step after they receive their degree. And we do this through a variety of business partnerships, and a few of them are listed there to make sure not only are we being workforce responsive to our community partners, but also making sure we have a smooth career transition for all our students. Next slide, please. Sustainability being the third leg of the IBHE plan. Again, we're committed to removing financial obstacles for all students that can join us. And here you see the Saluki commitment or aim high and new and transfer students. So this is a way that we combine resources for those students whose family incomes are under $103,000. This is a significant change from, I believe it was around $60,000 in the past. So we're opening up it's a much broader student population we can access now and provide them this opportunity. It's guaranteed tuition and fee coverage. But through extraordinary scholarship and fundraising, one out of every 7 students does receive a scholarship. And when we put all our resources together, there are many students in that low SES category that also not only have tuition and fees, but we provide housing and dining because we can cover the full cost of attendance. So pretty extraordinary. And our scholarships are based on GPA. We were test optional before that was in vogue. So that's an important aspect because the high school GPA is one of the predictors for success in college. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just a couple. On the Summer Bridges program, the percentages are outstanding for the 3 years. How many students are you guys, have you served over the 3 years?
Yes, so for the Dr. Seymour Bryson program, we had 28 students that first year, 21, 22, 50 students in the 2 subsequent years.
Okay.
So that is, we would like to serve more students, so we are looking with alignment of our strategic plan with our budget priorities in the future. And this is clearly a place we would like to continue to invest.
Those
Okay.
are fully funded by the foundation.
Exactly.
Fully.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Okay.
One thing I would like to say on those summer bridge programs is that as in my role as a student and meeting students, I actually meet a lot of our Dr. Seymour Bryson scholars, which indicates to me that they are integrated into this campus, that they're committed to finishing their degree. And that's one of the populations of students that I think on day one are ready to succeed at SIUC. And I'm very proud of that program. And I'm very glad that that's serving those students.
Thank you.
And how do you market this program?
Yeah, exactly.
It starts with those students who are admitted through our exploratory studies program. So they have potential to do college level work, but maybe not as well prepared in high school as they could have been. So that's the broader population of students that we start with, that we advertise the program to, and there is an application process.
How many students are in the group with family income 103,000, 103,000 or less?
I do not know.
In the Future Scholars group?
Yeah.
Oh, it would,
No, this is different. This is not future scholar.
Which-
you mean
which-
institutionally?
That those whose family income is less than 103,000.
For all our student applicants.
Probably the bulk of the students that we have
Oh,
applied.
is that right?
I mean,
'Cause
a
we have-
large percentage, I can get the exact percentage.
Yeah.
Probably
Right.
before this meeting ends, but pretty high concentration of students. I think the average in our county alone is probably 40 some odd thousand. I mean, so average in Metro, East St. Louis Metro East is 23.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we
So,
have-
you know,
So we are doing a great job in that one.
Yeah.
system.
so
Is
high,
that-
much wider gap.
Yeah,
Good.
we serve a lot of Pell eligible students.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Lane, again, kudos to you for, again, taking this initiative, the Summer Bridges program. And we're gonna keep pounding, how are you marketed, how are you telling the story? This is a great way to do it as far as recruiting those underserved students, getting them here on campus, supporting them and giving them the infrastructure to be successful moving forward. And again, really happy with the Step Ahead program and how you're reaching out to our partners. This was an issue as some of the former board members, well, former and present board members recall, this was a big issue at one time with us reaching out and partnering. So again, kudos to you for your leadership in making that happen. Appreciate that. And Dr. Tucker, thank you so much for the.
Absolutely. And
Appreciate
everything we've achieved is due to the servant leadership philosophy of Dr. Lane, that everyone is involved on our campus in making sure that we are serving all students.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Got it there. I see it's coming shortly here. Thank you so much. I'm happy to present today our performance report in the IBHE goals. The next slide. This is what I'm going to focus on for sustainability, our clinical faculty practice, SIU Medicine. For growth, I'll focus on physician assistant students and physicians, the medical students. And for equity, I'll take a look at our entire program for anti-racism, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Next slides. So IBHE goal for sustainability, build a stronger financial future for individuals and institutions. I'll compare pre-pandemic year FY19 to FY23 currently. We've had astounding growth in clinical productivity by any measure that you take. We've grown by 45 to 50%. This increase in 49% is in work units, RVUs we call them. We've had an increase of 550,000 to about 1.7 million work units per year. Clinical income always lags a little bit behind productivity, and that increase is 37%. Our physician faculty has grown to more than 320. I'm not sure the exact number because I can't keep up with it, but it's an increase of 21%. And then our resident physicians and fellows, who also provide a significant amount of clinical productivity, has increased to 19%. As far as financial stability, we are right near the median for medical school practices, just a little bit above it at 60th percentile. So that's an astounding performance for sustainability. We can't do it without our partners. Historically, hospitals, systems, health systems have been our biggest partner by far, and they still are. But over the pandemic years, we've had much more activity from insurers and governmental agencies for our financial health and the partnerships that make that so. Next IBHE goal, increase talent and innovation and drive economic growth. This slide is on increased talent and innovation. From FY19 to FY23, our number of physician assistant students has increased 75% by 60 per year. Resident physicians and fellows who have graduated from medical school and are staying for a residency or fellowship to become board certified in a specialty has increased by 19% or 68 total. Residencies and fellowships last 1 to 7 years. So that translates into about 20 graduates per year added. Medical students have increased by 11% per year, a total of 32, and that's all due to the Lincoln Scholars Program, which I will describe in my report to the board later today. Those 32 obviously translate into 8 a year. So this growth translates into 28 more physicians produced per year. Next slide, and that relates to the economic growth. Here you see some information from IQVIA, which is noted down in the right-hand slide of the report. IQVIA is the most respected organization for economic financial analysis and modeling in the world, I think. Last year, they got the Everest Award. You can't get much higher than Everest, I don't think, as a matter of fact. Anyway, they have shown in their 2018 study that each physician annually supports 17 jobs, $3.2 million in economic output, $1.4 million in salaries, and $126,000 in local and state tax revenue. Next slide. So the economic impact from 28 more physicians, which is the growth over the pandemic years, translates into 476 jobs, 90 million in economic output, 39 million in salaries, 3.5 million in local and state tax revenues. Next slide. Equity. Close gaps for students who have been left behind. So I'll mention what the School of Medicine has done historically, briefly, and then what's happened in the past few years. Very historically, the Med Prep program was established in 1974. That's for students who otherwise wouldn't get into medical school, but we knew they'd be great doctors and dentists. There's been almost 1,500 graduates from that program, 88% underrepresented groups in medicine. They performed on par with the other students and have given us and other medical schools and dental schools great diversity. The McNeese P4 program was established in 2009 for high school students. One of the priorities for selecting the students was first generation college. So that also gave a great representation of underrepresented groups. We now have 116 in that program. It's grown rapidly. We've had some come through medical school and got into residencies now at SIU. And it's been a great pathway program as well. The Office of Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion was established in 2016. The word equity was added when Wendy Wills-Elamine came in 2018 to head that program. And that's when the explosion in growth occurred. And we declared to become an anti-racist organization in 2019. Next slide. So this is the one to focus on. It's astoundingly busy, but it's the snapshot of the entire program that's been developed mainly by Dr. Elamine with help from others. And most of the jobs you see there are part-time jobs, not full-time jobs. But I will tell you, when I present this to the other deans of medical schools across the country and other national venues, SIU School of Medicine is the envy of everyone else. So first, anti-racism task force are 40 people that make sure that our policies and procedures, our organizational structure, the metrics and benchmarks that we look at, the rock solid data that we use to make a decision, and our curriculum all is moving in the right direction related to equity, people. This is the Office of the Associate Dean for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Again, mostly part-time, mostly funded by non-traditional means. Lots of soft money here, as a matter of fact. But just listen, equity support team, equity transformation strategist, equity ambassadors in each department, culturally responsive program coordinator, trauma mitigation specialist. That really raises the eyebrows when you see it. And then for the data side, data analyst and director of research and innovation. I'll get to the students in just a minute. Education, you heard about the pathway programs, health equity scholars. We now have 3 pathways for the medical students. More than a third of the more than a half of the medical students are in the health equity scholars pathway now. It is really big for what is going to happen long term. The Kennebrew Lecture Forum and Conference has become internationally known for its production. Providing care in unusual places in the community where people have good access, depots, delivering equity places outside traditional settings. Our Alliance for Women in Medicine and Science is phenomenal. And then I will mention the student affinity groups, SNMA for African American students, the Latino Medical Student Association, the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, the Asian Pacific American Medical Student Association, the American Medical Women's Medical Association, all very active, and they all came together a few years ago to form the Marginalized Student Network, which I think has had a great influence on the entire SIU system for equity. And then the Center for Equity and Professional Development has some federal funding to get started. We are planned to focus on African American men for medicine and other professions. Just understand that more African American men applied for medical school in 1970 than did last year, 50 years ago. Work to do here. So that's our plan for that one. So thank you very much. And any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have a comment, Dean Cruz. You know, I've been on this board a long time, as the old guy with a Roger, that old guy, and I'm sure he would attest, John Simmons. Your enthusiasm for the SIU Medical School is just simply incredible. And what you and your team continue to do as far as your intentional planning and execution is simply amazing. And I don't know if we say this to you enough, but you guys are just doing an incredible job. And so please know that all we can do is just say, how can we continue to support you? And Mr. Chair, your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's, you know, like Dean Cruz said, I think the SIU Medical School is an envy of the country. When you think of the other medical schools and what we've done, and you know, the med prep program was been one, since 1974, has provided a lot of opportunities for people that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunities. And I don't know how many other universities and medical schools have a similar type program, but this has to be one of the leaders of the country. And what you have done and are doing and will continue to do, I don't know whether he's looking for a raise or not.
Well, we're just complimenting.
Okay, just a compliment.
We're just complimenting.
Hey, a nickel and a cup of coffee would be about all we can do. But anyway,
Well, Yogi Berra said a dime isn't worth a nickel anymore. So.
But anyway, what you, echoing what Dr. Hightower said, what you are doing and have done and will continue to do is just phenomenal. And we just cannot express our appreciation enough for you. And you know, it's a team effort that you have up there.
No doubt.
It's a team effort. And
thank you for your support and thanks to all the people who do it. Yes, it is a team effort for sure.
Roger and Ed, comments from you, the two of you.
You know, when I listen to this, I think back about the years when our medical school was, we really didn't know much about it. We was just kind of quiet.
Exactly.
I think Dean Cruz, during the COVID situation, I think we all realized what a great asset we have, and it just keeps getting better. So keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Mr. Curtis,
I'm probably conflicted, and I just want everybody to know that I consider, I've been involved with the medical school for over 45 years, and I've watched it grow from its beginning to now. And I consider SIU School of Medicine not a regional or state treasure, but it's a national treasure. We're very blessed to have it.
and I'm going to give Ms. Simmons an opportunity to comment, as John has played a major role in our medical school development. Mr. Simmons, would you like to make a couple comments here?
Yeah, I just kind of echo both what Roger said about it being kind of quiet for a lot of years, and then now to watch it go. And Dean Cruz, that's a tribute to you and your platform and your voice in this regard. So thank you for pushing and keeping it going.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Next.
Right. Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to share highlights from our annual performance report. It's always a pleasure to talk about the great work of our faculty, staff, and students. So thank you for this opportunity. Previously, we've talked to you about our SOAR program and our Fame and Game program, and you may remember those discussions. In the past year, we worked to substantially expand SOAR and Fame and Game, and it became, through those enhancements, the Black Scholar experience. The expansion of these programs has increased our institutional capacity to facilitate academic success and promote a sense of belonging for students historically underrepresented in higher education. The outcomes we've seen are already quite promising. The first to second year retention rate for Black students enrolled at SIUE in fall 22 was 10.2 percentage points higher than our fall 21 to fall 22 retention rate. Similarly, we saw gains for Latinx students, 3.7 percentage points for retention rate, and again, large gains for students who reported 2 or more races. So we're really excited about those signs of progress in our equity work. We've also spoken to you previously about our codes program, led by Dr. Jessica Despain and the Iris Center and colleagues throughout the university. The community-oriented digital engagement scholars program allows students to engage in creative problem solving with community partners, to learn new technical skills like mapping, data visualization, online communication, through those partnerships and activities. The program particularly focuses on first-generation college students, Pell-eligible students, African-American students, and Latinx students. We're happy to report that the program retained 21 of 25 students, or 84%, for first to second year retention rate. We're really proud of the outcomes of these 2 programs, and they are scalable. The lessons we learn here are scalable, and an important part of our equity journey. And finally, just in this category, I want to acknowledge that for the 10th year in a row, SIUE received the 2023 HEAT Award, which is the Higher Education Excellence and Diversity Award from Insight into Diversity magazine, which is the oldest and largest diversity-focused publication in higher education. And this award is a really important reflection of our institutional commitment to anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we expect to continue this trend. Now we'll move on to sustainability. I'm coupling 2 things that on the surface might not seem like they go together, but I want to acknowledge that SIUE recognizes that we need new revenue streams, and we need to cut costs where we can to ensure access and affordability and equity. And so these 2 highlights are really about the importance of philanthropy and that cost-cutting measure. So annual giving increased by 129% last year. I think I just want to acknowledge that Chancellor Minor's work in setting ambitious goals and providing support, and also Vice Chancellor Walker, who's now left us, but the tremendous work of our advancement team and others throughout the campus. So we raised over $11.1 million, setting a university fundraising effort, the most ever raised through private philanthropy by SIUE. And I'm sure you've all heard about the rising cost of textbooks. For years, SIUE has had a textbook rental program to try to keep those costs down. You can imagine when a student starts to make financial choices, not buying a textbook could be one of those choices that doesn't support their educational goals. And so that textbook rental program is really important for our mission and for our students. But we know that because of the increase in digital course materials, it threatens that model, right? Where you buy a textbook, you keep it for 3 years and you use it over and over, right? So digital course materials in particular make that model one that we have to think creatively about how to maintain in a sustainable way. So we've been doing work around open educational resources where faculty can develop or curate materials and make those open and available to students or to other faculty members in our institution or beyond. Through these OER efforts, we had an incentivized program for faculty to do this kind of work. We saved $100,000 for our textbook rental program in 1 year. We had 2 faculty members pursue a grant through Carly and received that. It's $130,000. And I'm also happy to report that SIUE, SIUC, and SWIC submitted a grant for $2 million to do OER work around nursing and pharmacology. So that's an exciting development. And as I prepared this presentation, we received word that we'd saved another $53,000 for textbook rental this year through these OER efforts. And so I think while it might seem small in the grand scheme of things, it plays an important role in keeping education affordable for our students. And then finally, I want to talk about growth. And as you've heard in President Mahoney's presentations, we can't simply rely on first-time, full-time students. That can't be the only way that we think about enrollment. And I'm really happy to report that over the years, we have diversified the way that we think about enrollment and our approach to enrollment to try to meet our mission and to set the university up to thrive for the future. So we've been building foundations with graduate programs, online degree completion, recruitment of international students, industry-aligned partnerships, alternative digital credentials. I could keep going on. But for example, the online degree completion market is incredibly important for our universities. There are 400,000 plus adults in the St. Louis metropolitan statistical area who have some college and no degree. So despite an overall decline from fall 21 enrollment to fall 22, we were able to report record enrollment in 2 categories, right? So some bright spots on which we can build. So for fall 22, we had record graduate enrollment and we had record international enrollment. And that includes both undergraduates and graduates. We've seen substantial increases at the undergraduate enrollment from international partners and international students, which is something relatively new to our institution. And then we've been working hard on industry-aligned credentials in that workforce development space. If you had an opportunity to notice the section in the report about WEX, the workforce exchange model that we've developed with Illinois Innovation Network partners, it's been an important mechanism for pursuing grant opportunities, for doing both non-credit work and micro-credentials and stackable credentials with community college partners and with industry partners. And you might have also seen the work in the Proud Grant and the Gateway Apprenticeship Hub. And then finally, I just want to acknowledge the work that's been going on around dual credit and early college. This fall, due to work that happened last year, we're serving 85 dual credit students at Collinsville High School and have been building new early college courses and programs with our major feeder high schools. So a lot of good foundational work to build on that I think aligns well with the message from Dr. Mahoney and the plan for growth and enrollment. So I'm happy to talk more in depth about any of these things, but I will also stop there for now.
Provost Kopp, what do you contribute the growth in our African-American student population to? Was this just something that just happened? Or can you talk a little bit about what caused that? And how do you know that it really is something that is sustainable?
So I think one, making sure that we are recognized as an institution where students can feel a sense of belonging and where they can see that the results in our retention work will allow them to be successful. I think that really matters in the recruitment of students, particularly African-American students or students who've been historically underrepresented. They want to see that there is a place for them, that they want to see that there is a dedication on behalf of the university to make sure that they progress in ways that they might see that others that data don't suggest that success in other places.
How are we going out recruiting those students and saying that, you know, we want you to belong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think talking about the Black Scholar experience, for example, building pathways with our own Upward Bound programs, building high school pathways with local high schools that have large representations of Black students who who fit with a degree program at SIUE. I think it takes intentional outreach and demonstrating that we're willing to do the things to make sure that students have a place where they feel a sense of belonging, where they have an opportunity to thrive and excel.
Good. And the reason I asked that question, I live in that area and I know the outstanding outreach that under Chancellor Minor that you guys intentionally instituted, and the work that you're doing, and I applaud you. And I think another thing that we really need to highlight here, we talk about the annual giving. Dr. Chancellor Minor is directly responsible for this increase and the support, because again, he's everywhere. He's out there in the community. He's talking to the leaders and all. So again, so I just wanted you to kind of pull that so that the other trustees
Happy to do that.
understand that this is an intentional plan that you have, and you're executing it really, really well as far as getting out and telling the story and making sure that these young people know that SIU is a place where we will not only support them, we will be there for them, and we will make sure that they are successful doing their journey through SIU. So
yeah, I think the institutional investment in Black Scholar experience is a
Yes.
demonstration of that, right? The investment that we've made in codes, even though it started as a grant opportunity, there's always been an institutional investment. I think I can't say enough about, you know, to echo your comments about the reflection of that giving is the chancellor's willingness to be out in the community, to tell our story and to tell it in a really powerful and positive way. And our strategic plan that we signed off on last year and brought forward does not lack ambition, right? It is bold, and we cannot achieve those goals in that plan around 14.5 by 2025, or the incredible goals that we have around retention and graduation rates without intentionality and without everyone at the university following that lead to pursue those goals. And I think you see that also in the investments we're making in terms of recruiting and really putting resources with Hope Chicago, also expanding the number of admissions counselors that we have, expanding programming. So I think you can start to see some of the pieces align with the ambition of that plan, even in the gift that we got for the honors program recently, right? I think all of those are exciting, and they're testaments to the energy that the university can have and the momentum that we have.
good. Well, please share with the chancellor. We appreciate the outstanding vision and execution that you guys have for that vision. So,
Absolutely, I'll do that.
I'm
Oh,
very much.
sorry, Dr. Sharma.
Enrollment in the graduate programs, international students. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Other comments?
So one question I had was about how the open educational resources as programs have worked for you. What do those incentives look like for faculty to get that going? Has that been working to accelerate the growth of those resources?
I do think it's accelerated the growth. We've made attempts at it before by bringing in speakers, having workshops, talking to faculty about how to do it. But putting small stipends, Elza's in the room. So we do an agreement with the faculty member or with the course leaders, and then put a small stipend to that work, whether during the academic year or during the summer. I do think that has led to greater adoption, but it's also, we've had incredible faculty champions, and I think that has made a critical difference. It's one thing for a provost to say, let's do OER, right? But it's very different for faculty leaders who have respect from their colleagues to show, here's how we're doing that. So Dr. Mark Petzel, for example, has been incredibly involved. We have other Dr. Solomon from business. They've gone out and talked about the work they've done with their faculty colleagues. And I think that has also been a catalyst for advancing those efforts.
Do you see any sectors or programs that are going to see more difficulties with OER, or do you think that there's universality to that?
I think it's possible probably everywhere. I think as you look at the OER resources that are available, they are richer in some areas than others. But some places are really, it's easier to develop. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Mahoney.
President Mahoney.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, and it's a comment on all the presentations together. I think what you heard today, last meeting, I talked about our enrollment growth plans. And I think you heard many examples. And I think someone asked at the time, when do we get started? I was like, we already have. And the Black Scholar Experience, the Bryson Program, the Lincoln Scholars Program, all of these different things that we talked about today are examples of things that we're already doing. But I also want to say they're also tied to the goals, not just in the system plan, but in your plan, the Carbondale plan. When you look at the ADI initiatives, when you look at community impact, I think Dean Cruz hit on really well. All of the things are really hit on the things we talked about today. So it's all interconnected.
Good, good. Excellent. Anything else? Moving on, items 4 through 7. Committee, let me see, proposed distinguished service awards and honorary degrees at Carbondale campus. Mr. Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make sure this is close enough. I have the distinct pleasure of putting forward to the board today for hopefully approval for Dr. Larry Dietz. Many of you probably know Larry. He spent a lot of time in this building. And in this respect, it's for the recipient of the Distinguished Service Award. Dr. Dietz is a Southern Illinois native. He's an alum of SIU Carbondale. He's a former vice chancellor at SIU Carbondale. And he's a celebrated higher education leader who served on many campuses. I know when I arrived here, he was one of the first phone calls that I received to reach out to support me in my journey here when he was the president at Illinois State University. He retired in 2021. This board previously recognized Dr. Dietz with the prestigious Lyndall Sturgis Public Service Award while he was our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs when he was here. His devotion to community service and providing strong leadership to higher education, including having served as convener of the Illinois Presidents and Chancellors Group that meets weekly. In that role, he provided guidance and counsel to his colleagues and represented our needs well to the governor and the IBHE. Our second recommendation for Distinguished Service Award, SIUC, is Paul Eccles. I'm pleased to recommend Mr. Eccles as a recipient of the Distinguished Service Award. He is also a Southern Illinois native and graduate of SIU Carbondale, had a notable career in law enforcement and as an educator of those wanting to go into the criminal justice field. Across his more than 40-year career in public service, Mr. Eccles has pursued justice on behalf of those who are unable to speak for themselves, including solving the cold case of a 1982 murder of an SIU student that resulted in bringing closure to 8 other families across 4 states whose loved ones were the victims of a serial killer. He co-authored a book about the investigation, arrest and sentencing of the offender, and used the proceeds to fund a scholarship for students interested in pursuing degrees in criminal justice. Our next recommendation for honorary degree is Dr. Crystal Arlene Kirkendall. Dr. Kirkendall, pleased to recommend to the board for an approval for an honorary degree for Doctor of Humane Letters. She's a native of Chicago and an SIU Carbondale graduate. Dr. Kirkendall is an educator, a human relations expert, a legal analyst, a litigator, and author who made her mark as a leader at a young age. In 1979, Ebony Magazine included her in a profile of 50 leaders for the future, and we certainly believe she lived up to her potential. She has taught at numerous universities, served as an executive director of the National Alliance of Black School Educators, has been a leader for the National School Boards Association, and was appointed by President Carter to the National Advisory Council on Continuing Education, where she served as chairwoman. The world is really small. I didn't know this about Dr. Kirkendall, but my time at my undergraduate institution Her daughter was our student, USG president. I had no idea, just found that out in talking to her after all these years. So world is really small in the world of higher education. Our next recommendation for honorary degree is C. James Jimmy Wright. Pleased to recommend him for an honorary degree, Doctor of Arts. Mr. C. James Jimmy Wright is a painter and pastel artist of international note with a career in the arts spanning over 50 years. He came to SIU Carbondale as a graduate student after having attended the School of Art Institute in Chicago and participated in the U.S. State Department's Art and Embassies Fellowship Program, which enabled him to study and travel in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. While at SIU Carbondale, he was an organizer of the university's first LGBTQ+ organization, one of the earliest in the country. Today, it is known as the Saluki Rainbow Network. Wright settled in New York City in 1974, where he used the vibrant nightlife as a source of inspiration for a series of paintings. His art resides in the collection of many leading museums, including Whitney Museum of American Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and the Art Institute of Chicago, as well as private collections and galleries around the world. I respectfully submit these names to the board for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve committee items 4 through 7?
So moved.
We have a motion second. Madam, would you please call the roll?
Hightower,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes. Motion passes. If there's no other business before the Academic Matters Committee, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Dr. Hightower. The next committee meeting is the Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Tedric, you may proceed.
Thank you. The Finance Committee is now in session. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of September 21st, 2023. Do I have a motion to accept?
So second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Tedric,
Yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
and the motion carries, or they are approved. I must say, Dr. Stuckey, this is a light agenda, and I mean, we'll probably pay for it in February. I don't know where he went. Well, there we are. All right. Committee item 2 and 3, proposed approval of purchase for the Carbondale campus. Chancellor Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Get my notes right here. The Office of Innovation and Economic Development is partnering with the Illinois Department of Public Health to develop and administer a voluntary certification program for community health workers to help ensure high-quality performance of services they provide. This is a 100% grant-funded project from the state with an initial 1-year contract using a vendor, Breakthrough Technologies, that was secured through a formal bid process. The total project could last 7 years and provide up to $2.5 million in funding. Seek that for your approval. Please go.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Tedric,
Yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
and the motion carries. Committee item 3 proposes the approval and purchase for the School of Medicine, Dean Cruz.
Mr. Chairman, again.
Did you
What
do,
we
you
missed?
wanted to do NNO? We still need to do O.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come back to that. Go ahead, Dean Cruz.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Whoops, sorry about that. This item seeks approval for improvement and leasing of clinical space in the HSHS St. John's Pavilion area for the clinical growth that we've had. It's about 10,000 square feet, a 10-year lease for about $4.5 million, which includes the lease payment, the renovation cost, and O&M costs. Happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion? Have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Tedric,
Yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
and the motion is approved. Let's go back to number 3. Computers and computer accessories, SIUC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This matter seeks to award a 3-year contract to Dell for the purchase of desktop computers, servers, and other devices for the needs of the campus, including the School of Medicine in Springfield. The university has purchased primarily Dell computers for use in student computer labs, classrooms, laboratories, and faculty and staff offices for the past 20 years. We're very satisfied with their performance. We're using a pre-approved pricing contract provided through our association with the Midwest Higher Education Consortium to ensure that we are receiving the best value and pricing for our needs during this 3-year contract. Respectfully submit this matter for your approval.
Thank you. Is any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Tedric,
Yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
and the motion is approved. Committee item 5 proposes an approval of purchase for the Edwardsville campus. Provost Cobb.
Thank you. We've previously come before the board to request an approval of a contract with academic partnerships and then followed up with necessary amendments. This board matter under consideration today seeks approval to establish a new contract with academic partnerships for 6 online graduate programs and 8 new degree completion undergraduate programs with the School of Education, Health and Human Behavior, and the School of Business. The contract with academic partnerships will become effective upon execution for an approximate 5-year term ending June 30, 2029. The cost of the contract is determined by the number of new students enrolled in the program as part of a revenue share contract. The projected cost for this service contract, projected based on enrollment targets, is just over $5.5 million and will be funded through the tuition and fee revenue derived from the enrollment of new students. Again, the final amount is determined based on the enrollment in these programs. Thank you for your consideration.
I have a quick question. Where is this company located?
So they are based out of Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, they may have additional offices, but they have a significant operation out of Texas.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Moved. So moved.
So second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Tedric,
Yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
and the motion is approved. Item 6 has been withdrawn. And if there's no other business before this committee, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Tedric. The next meeting is Architectural and Design Committee meeting. Mr. Simmons, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item on the agenda, as the other committees, is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held September 21st. Is there a motion to approve this meeting?
Moved.
These minutes? Thank you. Second.
So second.
And Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Tedric.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion is passed. Committee items 2 and 3 are board agenda items S and T. They are project and budget approvals for the Edwardsville campus. Dr. Bill, will you speak to these matters, please?
Yes, good morning, John and everyone else. Thank you for this opportunity to put these 2 projects in front of you. The first that I will talk about is the matter that seeks project and budget approval to proceed with design and construction of space for the new John Martinson Honors Program at SIUE. This space is currently planned for the 3rd floor of the Lovejoy Library on campus. The space will house program offices, an entry reception, student lounge area, conference room, kitchenette, storage, and classrooms on our campus for the honors program. The current honors program space on the 2nd level of the library is insufficient to meet the planned growth of students, faculty, and staff in this program. The proposed location will be somewhere on the 3rd floor, depending on the selection of the appropriate design from the design team and the design process. The space is easily accessible to all by elevators and stairways and has prominent natural lighting in the area. And it will include a sleek and modern design similar to the Center for Faculty Development that's located on the second floor currently in the library. Design services will include programming, schematic design development, and construction documents for the build out of roughly 6,000 to 10,000 square feet of the 41,000 square feet that are available on this level of the library. Upon completion of the design development and project and approval, construction scheduling will be phased. We hope to have some of the space available by next fall. Depending on final design, where it ends up in the floor space on the third level of the library, the estimated total cost is $1.944 million. And we will bid those construction documents separately. The funding for this project is from monies available through the transformative gift that the university received that renamed the SIUE Honors Program to the John Martinson Honors Program. That gift was $4 million. So Chancellor Minor and I recommend approval of this project. Our second request is a project matter that seeks project and budget approval to proceed with the replacement of the rooftop units and energy recovery units on our 4 wings of each of the residence halls, Prairie, Bluff, and Woodland that serve our first year students. I actually was sitting here this morning and looked back. The Woodland Hall was built in 1994, 30 years ago. Prairie Hall in 1998, 26 years ago, and Bluff Hall in 2001, 23 years ago. It's time to replace these units. And in fact, this year we replaced the chiller in Prairie Hall. It was an 18-month delay to get the chiller to actually replace in this building. So all of these air handling units require updates and modifications regularly to maintain the value of the property and also make it a safe living space for our students. This particular project will be funded by the RRR funds in our housing area for repair, replacement, and reserve account. The work is planned to be 3-phased. We will do phase 1, Prairie Hall, for $967,000 next summer. Phase 2 for $1.01 million for Bluff Hall the next summer, and $1.065 phase 3 for Woodland Hall the following summer. Slight increases of cost because of increases in labor and materials over that time. We will go out to bid following all board and Illinois procurement policies for this project. And again, Dr. Minor and I recommend this project so that we can have effective residence halls for our students. So I'd be happy to take
Thank you, Doc.
any of these.
Thank you, Dr. Bill.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion for items 2 and 3 to be placed on the board agenda as items S and T.
So moved.
So second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, could you please perform a roll call vote?
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Tedric.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. Thanks, Dr. Bill. Committee item 4 is a project approval for the construction and naming of the Tedric Welcome Center, Carbondale campus. Mr. Kupchak, would you please speak to this item?
Yeah, while they're coming forward,
yes,
Chairman
sir,
Simmons.
please.
Oh, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Simmons. While they're coming forward, just a great opportunity to publicly thank Matt for all his work in the foundation and on this particular project. They worked hours and hours going through this. And I know Greg Cook, who you're going to hear from, he hasn't been paid for any of this work. And I know you've got other things you're doing, but I want to publicly thank you as well for all your time and commitment and passion to the project. And I know you're going to highlight Trustee Tedric and Sally here in just a moment. So you have the floor, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Lane. Appreciate that. It's been an honor to be a part of this. Thank you to the Board of Trustee members for the opportunity to present for your approval today the naming and design for the new Tedric Welcome Center. So we appreciate that opportunity. Next slide, please. All right, before I get started, I want to take just a moment to thank and recognize the Tedrics on behalf of the entire foundation board, all of us working on this project for your transformational, incredible gift toward this building. I have no doubt that your gift, this building, along with all the work our chancellor and his team are doing, will change, is changing and will continue to change the trajectory of this university for years to come. So Roger, thank you very much. All right, next slide, please. All right, so much has happened since we presented to you on April 27th. We gained approval from the SIU Foundation Board to move forward with the project. We've worked closely with FEM to develop the site plan and ensure compliance with university requirements on all facets of the project. We visited other university welcome centers, such as Northwestern University's Siegel Center, to gain ideas. We engaged Dimensional Innovations, a company that designs, builds, and installs audiovisual components to create an exciting state-of-the-art digital pathway throughout the building. And these interactive components will welcome, inform, and engage prospective students, returning alumni, and various visitors to the university, and will be positioned in various locations throughout the Welcome Center. And finally, we hired a construction management firm, Impact Strategies of Fairview Heights, to guide us through the entire construction process to project completion. Next slide, please. To talk a little bit about them, Impact Strategies is an impressive company led by its president, Mark Henricks, an SIU alum who is here with us today. Thank you, Mark. Mark's company has an impressive body of work spanning over 21 years, and we are very excited to have his group to be a part of the team. Also here today is the design architect, Thad Heckman from Design Works, and Jairus Jones of the Hafer Group. They've been incredible working on this project and have produced quite a building here for us. So next slide, please. I want to talk just a moment about how the Tedric Welcome Center will be utilized. First, it will be the new front door to the university. Impressive elevations and state-of-the-art interactive experiences will be throughout the Welcome Center and adjoining spaces. It will be the starting point for campus visits, with SIU Missions beginning open houses here and orientations as they host groups of students. The space will also be available for special events functions of various types. And finally, the building will house the Philanthropy Center and become the new home for the SIUC Foundation staff and offices. Next slide. You've seen this before, I think, but the proposed site is located near the footprint of where the old McAndrew football stadium was located. Next slide. This graphic shows the site plan and related parking. IDOT, now some things to note here, IDOT has approved a right turn in and a right turn out off of Lincoln Drive that you see on the upper right there for bus drop off and parking access. Also shown here is a planned plaza up on the far north right side of the diagram, a planned plaza adjoining the northwest portico area. The plaza is designed for outdoor functions and will be set up to support a hospitality tent when needed, and will provide a pathway for visitors to the Student Center, Student Services Building, and beyond. Next slide. This gives you an overview of the floor plans for both the first and the second floors. As you can see, the main entrance on the west side of the building leads into the lobby where visitors can access the Welcome Center. A Welcome Center and the Philanthropy Center and Foundation offices. The bus drop entrance lobby is located on the upper left-hand side of the diagram there. And both lobbies will have welcoming and interactive audio-visual components and will be utilized supportively for various functions and events held in the Welcome Center. Next slide. This elevation is a view of the Tedric Welcome Center as it will appear from the main entrance off of Lincoln Drive. It's a very dramatic look, in my opinion. Next slide. This is the northwest portico as it's viewed from the Student Center and Student Services building. The thing I love about this building is no matter which way you view the building, the elevations in my mind are very attractive from all aspects as you're looking at the building. Next slide. Okay, now we move to the inside of the building. We have a few slides here to share with you today. This is the main entrance lobby that leads into the Welcome Center and Foundation offices. Things to note here, and there will be some things added to this later, but you can, as you enter from it'd be the Student Center side, you'll come through the front doors. You'll be able to move right over to access the Philanthropy Center and the Foundation offices. There'll be several audiovisual media components within this space, as well as the other lobby, where students will be able to interact with that. A step and repeat feature will be located there where the SIU is, and then above that will be a welcoming video board and things like that. Those will be added later to future renderings. Next slide, please. This is as you'll view the Welcome Center looking east towards Route 51. They've put a mountain in there, and that's not really there, but some important things to note. The room can be divided into 4 separate spaces by utilizing portable dividers that are housed in the extensions that you can see along the side of the walls. This area will also feature informative wall displays supplementing the learning experiences found throughout the building. Next slide. Well, this is the view looking back toward the entrance to the Welcome Center, where the speaker's podium will be located for guest lectures, special events, et cetera, et cetera. And on the right, you can see one of 2 exits to the portico and outside plaza spaces. There's another one just off to the right that you can't see. Next slide. This is an example of some of the media components, dimensional innovations designed and installed in the University of Kansas's Welcome Center. The final design and elements of what we will have at the Tedric Welcome Center will soon be complete, and we'll reflect those in future renderings, but we just met with them a couple of days ago, and what they were presenting was very excited. Now we're in the process of trying to understand where the components will be located within the building, the pathway to get to those components and things like that. It's going to be a great experience for visitors when they come to this building, to be able to look at or interact with the visual components of the building. Next slide. And finally, this slide represents the projected, construction timeline. And of course, today is an important moment on that timeline, where we ask for your approval of the naming and the design presented. Once we have that, we will begin the bidding process immediately, which we expect to be a 2-month process. On December 14th, we'll present to the Foundation Board to approve the funding for the building. And on February 27th, we will have the official groundbreaking to coincide with other important initiatives to be announced, as well as the Day of Giving, which will happen on February 28th. So that concludes my report. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. Trustee Tedric and I have known each other virtually all of our lives. We both went to youth school, Pullman Hall. He's you're a year older than I am.
Let's leave age out of
point
this,
that
okay?
out. Had the same teachers, and he graduated from the high school, one of the last graduating classes, weren't you? From youth school. He grew up literally on this campus, actually just across the street from the campus, wasn't it? Your house was. This university has been in his blood since birth, and his dedication to this university, no one can question it. Even he's a former chairman of this board, and as Dr. Stuckey said, probably the best chairman this board has ever had. And you know something, I would not disagree with that comment. But his commitment, and of course I grew up with his wife Sally also, and the commitment that those two have made to this university, not only to this Carbondale not only to the campus of Carbondale, but the entire region is just unbelievable. And from a longtime friend, Roger, thank you and your wife for your commitment to this university, because this is your commitment here is going to benefit many generations to come in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Roger. I would like to move to approve committee item 4. Is there a second?
So second.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Would you close the roll call vote?
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Tedric.
Abstain.
Roger, Phil said it best, but on behalf of the entire SIU community, thank you for this tremendous gift. You and Sally are truly leading the way, not by just welcoming future Salukis, but also by setting an example for how to live positive, generous lives. Thanks again. I look forward to the groundbreaking and ribbon cutting.
Thank you.
Creation, the next thing is committee item 5. It's an information report regarding facilities master plan for the Carbondale campus. Vice Chancellor Simmers, will you please present your report?
Thank you for the opportunity to update you on our facilities master planning efforts at the SIU Carbondale campus. In 2022, Chancellor Lane appointed a facilities master planning committee with representation from key stakeholders across campus and in our community to contribute to the formulation of a new facilities master plan. This work is in alignment with the sustainability pillar of the Imagine 2030 strategic plan. The committee conducted a series of meetings to deliberate the content of the overall campus master plan, ensuring integration with our sustainability committee's work on climate action planning. Our goal is to have a comprehensive long-term master plan, which offers a clear roadmap for prioritizing needs and optimizing our financial resources. This new master plan will strategically position the campus for the future. Moving forward, our next steps include completing the qualifications-based selection process to identify a consulting firm that will collaborate with our campus in developing the plan. The chosen firm will lead us through a planning process addressing such aspects as university right-sizing, evaluating facilities and infrastructure, which would include deferred maintenance and demolitions, determining space requirements for academic and research purposes, as well as planning for parking, vehicle traffic, pedestrian flow, and other things. The comprehensive approach will encompass various projects that have been under discussion, including but not limited to the Student Center, greenhouses, Old Greek Row, athletic facilities, the new foundation building, which was just presented with the Tedric Welcome Center, and more. We anticipate seeking Board of Trustees approval to award contract by July 2024, with a master planning process beginning with our consulting firm in the fall of 2024.
Thank you very much. Okay, that was for informational purposes. Is there any other business for the Architect and Design Committee? Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. I move we take a 10-minute recess and that the full board meeting will begin in probably about 10 or 15 minutes. Hey, Dwayne, I'm never going to let you live that down. I couldn't help myself.
My lucky day.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Present.
Gilbert,
Present.
Harris,
Present.
Hightower,
Present.
Ludwig,
Present.
Salger,
Present.
Sharma, Simmons,
Present.
Tedric.
Present.
Okay, a quorum has been established. The next item of business is the approval of minutes of the meeting of the board held September 20th and 21st, 2023. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So second.
Ms. Keith, will you please call the roll?
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. I'll report that in yesterday's executive session, the board approved the release of executive session excerpts for the period of April 2023 through July 2023. Those will be available for public inspection on the board's website tomorrow. I don't think there's any other trustee reports. The next for the committee reports, I'll report the executive committee has not met between board meetings. Our next item of business is the executive officer's report. President Mahoney, will you present your report for the SIU system?
Yeah, Chair Gilbert, I actually have 3 items today, 2 presentations and 1 update from me. And the first one will be Vice President Caldwell, or Vice President for Anti-Racism, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, giving an update on some of the activities in her office. While she's walking up there, I do want to tell you, we talked earlier about the change in the name for NASH. It used to be the National Association of System Heads. It's now the National Association of Higher Education Systems, and you're probably wondering why they didn't bother with the name change. It doesn't sound like a big thing. Really, it's been traditionally that group had been just about people in my role, all getting together and talking across systems in the United States. They've really expanded it to being much more inclusive of people in Vice President Gupchev's role, Vice President Caldwell's role, and actually working on issues like academic innovation, anti-racism, diversity, equity, inclusion. And I do want to note that every time we have a meeting of the NASH group, the first question he asked me is, Vice President Gupchev and Vice President Caldwell going to come, because they're real leaders in their respective groups. And I think what you'll hear from Vice President Caldwell today is some of the ways that we're providing leadership in her area. But again, people across the country are seeing that and have a lot of respect for the work that she's doing. So Vice President Caldwell.
Thank you, President Mahoney, and also thank you, trustees. I have 2 items of area of focus that I would like to share today. First, the SIU system, anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, promotion, and tenure recommendations. I believe that you all received a copy of that, as well as the 2nd annual Illinois Higher Education Equity Symposium. Before I dive into it, I do want to share that both of these particular activities do inform our strategic plan. So specifically with the ADEI tenure and promotion recommendations, if we specifically look at goal 2, which is anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, objective 3, infrastructure and organization, and strategy D, is specifically to recruit and retain diverse talent and to embrace systems committed to ADEI. So if we look at these particular recommendations, I do want to talk about the process. Working with Dr. Gutchuk, we collaborated with the Faculty Advisory Council, and they specifically requested that the Diversity Advisory Council create these recommendations. And I like to say that because it is faculty driven. It wasn't something that we gave to them. They actually asked us to create. So from October of 2022 to April of 2023, we worked with the Diversity Advisory Council to develop these recommendations, specifically as it relates to scholarship, teaching, and service. After we created that, we specifically went to the faculty senate leaders. So I want to thank Bethany Rader, Dr. Bethany Rader, as well as Dr. Barbara McCracken, as well as the provost who presented this information to faculty. And so the goal with these particular recommendations is to do 3 things. It is to reward invisible labor. If we have heard that term, that is specifically extra labor that women and faculty of color endure because sometimes it's just simply not enough of them in their departments or in the university. So that is the one thing we're doing. We also seek to recruit and retain faculty. This is a document that new faculty will look at and see how will they scholarship, research, and service be rewarded in the academy if they come to SIU. And so now this is a tool that we can attract high ability faculty with. The third thing is to actually incentivize existing faculty to continue to do the good work of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as anti-racism. So that was the specific goal of this. And again, this information has been sent out to all faculty members across the university, and faculty have voted to approve this. And so what does that mean? That means that now when they look at the tenure promotion process and they're about to promote faculty, they will look at these particular recommendations. Also, different departments are including these recommendations in their faculty operating papers. So before I actually engage into the area as far as the symposium, are there any questions about these recommendations or any questions about the material that you read in your packets? Thank you. So now I will move on to part 2, the Illinois Higher Education Equity Symposium. I want to say this particular symposium was catalyzed by House Bill 5464. Governor Pritzker signed a bill into law last July saying all universities, public universities, as well as community colleges in the state of Illinois will now have to submit an equity action plan. And so basically collaborating with Dr. Mahoney as well as the system office leaders, we decided that we would basically take the lead and bring together all public four-year universities as well as some community colleges to discuss this particular bill. So we have collaborated with IBHE as well as the past, as well as the Illinois Community College Board to help make this particular event happen. This also is fulfilling our strategic plan under Objective 1, which is communication, specifically to advance Diversity Advisory Council high profile speaker series. So I want to talk a little bit about this. The purpose is specifically focusing on really gathering leaders all across the state. So we have educational leaders, we have legislators who actually come to these events every year, community partners from across the state to create, sustain, and expand equity. So we're specifically looking at how can we help marginalized students be successful. When we talk about marginalized students, we're talking about Pell eligible students, we're talking about racialized ethnic minority students, we're talking about rural students as well, because these are the groups that show that they do not fare as well in the higher education system. So our sessions are intently focused on reducing harm and dismantling inequitable structures. And so again, this symposium is a 2-day symposium. It is the second year that we have created this. And I wanted to actually just share some data. So it is important to say that again, because the focus was bringing all universities together, last year we had 75% of all of the public universities represented in the state of Illinois. This past year, we had 83% represented and 100% of all systems in Illinois represented. Last year, we had, in addition to universities, we had 11 organizations attend. This past year in October, we had 16 organizations attend and 32% new attendees. I also want to, again, thank the chancellors, Chancellor Lane, Chancellor Minor, Dean Cruz, because without their support and leadership, these events would not have happened. But one of the things I want to say, as you look at these numbers, these institutions represent 185,000 students across the state of Illinois. So that is our goal, is to have statewide impact. This past year was reclaiming our stories and reimagining student success. And I thought about that, Chancellor Lane. We should have probably saved that reimagining for next year, right, as we come to SIU Carbondale. But again, one of the reasons I want to talk about reclaiming our stories is that 34 states, I'm not sure how many of you all are aware of this, but 34 states have passed laws against diversity, equity, and inclusion. Just a few weeks ago, we had a conversation of understanding, actually discussing that with other leaders across the nation, talking about the impact of those 34 states introducing legislation dismantling DEI. 9 states have successfully passed laws that have dismantled DEI in some of their states. So we really wanted to talk about those issues and reclaim the narrative. We also wanted to talk about how can we reimagine making sure that we have strategies and initiatives in place to ensure that all students who walk through our doors are successful. So again, it was a great impact. I think it's important to not just take my word for it. I did. Every year we do an assessment. So with the help of myself, as well as conference services and Ms. Doris Williams, who is the project coordinator, we collected data. So this is one of the comments. This was such a phenomenal symposium. They're excited to come back next year. This year we had Reverend William Parker speak. He is the last living witness to see Emmett Till abducted. Many people have heard of that story, but he was our keynote speaker, so he was a high-profile speaker. Representative Ammons was also a speaker, and again, it says she was on fire for education. Many people were glad to hear her perspective. And then also SIUE presented. We heard Provost Cobb talk about the 10% increased retention for African-American students, 4% for Hispanic students. And so people were very pleased because they come to the conference looking for strategies and initiatives that they can take back to their campuses and really duplicate that type of success. So when we see comments, I would love to sit with those from SIU to absorb the knowledge they have. That was the information they will receive. And I also would like to say that that particular session, we had about 12 sessions, was the highest rated session of all of the sessions that we had specifically from SIU. A few other comments. This was welcoming, brought up hard topics. And one of the reasons why people were saying that is because when I talked about reclaiming our stories, we had the Holocaust Museum and Education Center presented, Representative Carol Ammons. We had University of North Georgia, a gentleman from there shared the South African perspective. We had Partnership for College Completion, as well as Hope Chicago. So there were some challenging topics, but again, it was about reclaiming our stories, but people also felt like those stories permitted a safe space to learn. As far as recommendations, we had compliments and we also had recommendations to really make sure that we were including more LGBTQ community members into that discussion. We did have some information about them, but I think people would like to see a full panel, and we will definitely take that into consideration and offer that next year. The opening closing keynote was excellent and the choir was spectacular. I do have to mention the choir because they did a phenomenal job. So here are just a few pictures. We had, again, President Mahoney and Chancellor Minor share, which was facilitated by Dr. Elamine from the School of Medicine, Dean Camille Davison. It was really important for us to talk about the recent Scholars Affirmative Action decision and how that was impacting our campuses specifically. Again, that is a picture to the left of Reverend Parker, William Parker, and as well as a picture of all of the ADI leaders. So we have Dr. Paul Frazier, who is occupied here at SIU Carbondale, Dr. Elamine from the School of Medicine, and Dr. Jessica Harris, along with myself, and she's from Edwardsville campus. We have met her. So this is just a photo again of the SIU Gospel Choir. And I do want to thank Trustee Hightower for attending the event as well. And so again, we have him along with Carol Ammons and Dr. Linda Baker from SIUC. So next year, we're going to get more positive glowing comments when people get an opportunity to sit at Chancellor Lane's feet and also learn about the great things that Carbondale is doing. I really wanted people to hear about all of the excellent work they were doing in enrollment, but I know they're going to duplicate those great efforts and people will get to hear that next year. But I wanted to make you all aware that this is something that SIU is doing to basically lead the entire state into focusing on equity as well as inclusion for all of our students. So those are my presentation points for today. Are there any questions for me?
Just thank you for your outstanding work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you to Vice President Caldwell. Now move on to the second presentation we'll have from our marketing and communications leaders. You know, one of the things that's changed in the last couple of years, we've been able to really meet virtually more, and that's allowed us to collaborate even better. And marketing communications is one of those areas where up until a couple of years ago, we really weren't meeting across the system. We're talking across the system in a productive way. And now we're doing that. We're going to hear a presentation about some of the efforts from Rakisha Falan and Tedric Welcome, but I'll also say Jeff Harmon, who's here as well, has been very active in these discussions. So it's really been a team effort across our marketing communications leaders.
Good morning. Thank you, President Mahoney, and good morning, trustees. We are here to just give you a brief update on what's been happening with the marketing and communications leaders for all of the campuses. President Mahoney just mentioned it, but one of the most impactful things that's happened in the last year is just the ability for all of the communications leaders to work together to really think about what it means to have a system brand and how we're stronger together, and how we can pool our resources and provide consulting support for each other and the system to move the brand forward. So I'm Rakisha Falan. I'm an associate provost for strategy, communication, and engagement at the School of Medicine. And I also have Tedric Welcome here who will be presenting, and she is an executive director of marketing and communication for SIUE. Our work really is grounded in the work of the strategic plan. Strategic plan goal 3 talks about community impact and how we can work collaboratively to show our strengths of the system, and then how we can tell the story. So we really ground our work in the idea that it's about raising public awareness and positive associations for the system brand as a whole, but also for the campuses individually in the communities that we serve. So we have been working for about a year to build some infrastructure and to lay some foundation for marketing and communications work for the system. Because there has not been dedicated resources or a person that is charged with this work, we decided to kind of do some basic work of doing some strategic planning and some communications planning. So we did a classic SWOT analysis to really look at the system brand and really think about what were the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we know what the strengths and opportunities are. And it starts with the strong leadership on all of the campuses and the support of this board for this initiative. We've got strong vision and strategic direction for messaging. Name recognition for the campuses is very, very high. We've got effective community engagement and government relations, engaged alumni and stakeholders, and then campus marketing and communications leaders really are leaning into this effort. And we've got a lot of things to talk about and to celebrate as a system. And one of those is some of the things that, Dr. Caldwell just talked about in terms of AEDI. There are many other accomplishments that we can point to that show the strength of the system. Some of the challenges and threats that we need to think about when we think about communications planning and marketing the system, a lack of visibility and understanding on the individual campuses, not of their own brand, but what's the value of the system brand? The system needs to spend some time thinking about how do we promote the value of working together? How do we promote reasons to believe so that people not only have pride in their own campuses and in their own locations, but they have some sense of pride about the system as a whole and what we can do together. We do, of course, we've already talked about kind of the lack of personnel, and that's already being worked on. Limited resources and tools, the decentralized branding of the campuses, and sometimes competing priorities when it comes to branding and recruitment strategies. These are all some of the challenges that we're facing as we think about how to promote the system. And of course, individual campus pride is good and important, and we're so glad that it's high. But we don't often leave room in our message architecture to think about, okay, but what about the system and why is there value in us talking about the value of the system together? So I'm going to hand it over to Tedric to talk about the communications plan that we have developed. We've spent about a year doing deep research, meeting in person and over Zoom to develop this plan. It's very detailed. So she's going to give you some broad strokes of it, but we do have it all the way down to tactics, timelines, priority levels that really is going to set up the next leader of marketing and communication for success.
Good morning. I'm Kedra Tolson, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications at SIUE. One of the things that is really important to remember as we move forward with this effort is to have a plan and to start and look inward and internally and make sure that not only are we investing in our marketing and advertising efforts, that we're also investing in the knowledge, the standing knowledge that is among our faculty, staff, and students internally. So one of the first things that we set about doing is thinking about a communications plan to set that journey. So the first thing we need to consider is investing in staff and tools to promote system messages and goals. We should assess the brand with internal focus groups and feedback strategy, and that's something that we have built the framework to do. We are also working on and setting examples for which you will see later, refreshing the logo and a visual brand guide to go along with it. One of the most important things that my colleague just mentioned a slide ago is to build brand awareness and define brand positioning. And one of the ways that you do that is by conducting a strong marketing research program to understand internally and externally what people believe about the system, what is their knowledge, what they believe, and how can we then transfer that into a strong position. Also, we need to reinvent and create new channels for engagement. Meaning, how are we using our social media? How are we using the existing platforms that we have? What new opportunities do we have to spread the word about the system? And then finally, we need to broadcast how campuses advance system goals. So that's tying in not only the system, but what the campuses are doing to support the system and how that reflects out into the community. So investing in staff and tools to promote system messages and goals. The most important thing is to support the effort to hire a new executive director for the system. So as you see here, we've taken part in a national search with 35 applicants, 23 complete resumes reviewed by the search committee, of which I was a member, 9 semifinalists selected, 8 participated in the first round of interviews, and we are currently standing at 4 finalists selected for final interviews. And I will tell you that this was a fun yet very rigorous process. So whoever makes it to the finish line, they are ready to be here. And then finally, one of the next things that we have to do is assess the brand with internal focus groups and feedback forums. If you are a complete nerd like me, then this is something that you're really looking forward to. And it's something that can be a misstep when you're taking on a project like this. You have to look inward in order to reflect outward who you really are and where you stand in the community. So we have come up with a list of our audiences, of course, our students, faculty and staff, our chancellors and provosts, deans, our government leaders, business leaders as well, alumni and donors. And so we have made the decision to do this in 1-hour hybrid meetings and make sure that we are collaborating across the campuses and that we are seriously focused on our internal audiences. And during that meeting, we'll have 2 facilitators, and this will be recorded so everyone can have a chance to view and see the work that we are doing. Now, these serve as examples, but this is what we mean by refreshing the logo, creating a visual brand guide and message architecture. So these 2 examples that you see on the screen, we were just brainstorming. This is not set in stone. We have not made a decision on this, but we just wanted to let everyone know where we were headed and what that means. When you are devising a logo or trying to create a visual brand guide, that is something that you have input on. But we just wanted to make sure that everybody knew where we were headed with refreshing the brand and some of the mechanics behind refreshing it. And then finally, here's the team that's been working really hard to move this effort forward. We have been meeting, like Rakisha said, for about a year to move this process forward through Zoom, in person. It's just really been a great effort, and we look forward to where we are going. Thank you. Questions?
Any questions?
One question I would have for you is, and this comes from personal experience a bit. When I was campaigning for student trustee, I first had to explain to people that we were in fact in a system.
Yeah.
And so we have quite a bit of ground to overcome when it comes to getting students on board, because I feel that students and faculty really are our greatest asset in doing peer recruitment and spreading that image and brand. Do we have any plans to educate our students and get them involved in this at the moment, or is that something that's being developed?
Yes, that is going to be part of the framework that we are putting together, because I know this might sound a little odd, but you really do have to get a baseline understanding of whether or not people understand what the system or what a system is and how they fit into it and why they are important to the system. So that is something that we know just right off the top that we have to work on, making sure that folks, we're doing our job, not only in asking the questions, but also working to educate as well.
Certainly. And I do believe that there's a lot of initiatives, like Dr. Gupchuck was explaining our online apparatus that seems to really be connecting students. And I really look forward to finding ways to build that understanding, because I do believe that we have amazing assets in our students and faculty to advocate for not only their campus, but the system.
Thank you.
If we're not making any decisions quite yet on what the first, second, third strategy will be, but it's probably pretty clear to us, and one of the things that will come out of those focus groups is to do kind of a baseline education. You know, hey, what is the system? What is it about? Why do we need it? So we think that's going to be a big part of it.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Any other questions? Let's see. Okay, thank you.
And just one last, this is kind of an update of what's going on today, actually in Chicago. So you probably have noticed Chancellor Minor is not physically present with us today. That's because the governor is putting together what he's calling the Higher Education Futures Table. That is going to be a task force, short-term task force, looking at some key issues in higher education. It includes transfers and improving the ease of transfers, improving data access and data sharing across universities, improving the high school to college pathway, as well as improving just general admissions and enrollment management. So there'll be 4 different working groups within that larger task force. And this is really focused on, again, many of the issues I talked about relative to enrollment growth, but also trying to have more collaboration across the state in dealing with some of these issues. The Higher Education Futures Table does include both Chancellor Lane and myself as well. But we're here. Chancellor Minor is there because the governor has asked him to be the co-chair along with Deputy Governor Torres of that group. So he's providing leadership for that. And so the governor's office asked me if he could be in Chicago today instead of Carbondale. And I smartly said yes. And so that's why he is not with us physically today. So I just wanted to point that out. But I think it's an exciting initiative under the governor's leadership and things that can, I think, improve higher education and access across the state. So.
Okay, thank you, President Mahoney. And we're going to take the campus reports a little bit out of order since Chancellor Minor has to start his meeting in probably less than an hour. But before we proceed then, I want to introduce and welcome a former trustee here, Breon Lockett, who is a student trustee for 2 years. Breon, stand up. Dr. Lockett. Sorry. Dr. Lockett. Welcome, Breon. Chancellor Minor, before you present your report for Edwardsville campus on behalf of the board, I want to congratulate you on your recent award on the Salute to Evidence Excellence in Education and Scholarship Award that you received from the St. Louis American Foundation. A little over a month ago, Trustee Hightower, Trustee Simmons, and I attended this gala in St. Louis, in which Chancellor Minor, along with a few others, received a Stellar Performance in Education Award. The St. Louis American Foundation, if you don't know what it is, it provides high potential African-American students in the St. Louis region with needed financial support to optimize the achievement of their higher education goals. It was, I think it was several hundred people there, were there not?
Yes, so
Dr.
definitely,
Hightower.
definitely.
It was a wonderful evening. And he had, Chancellor Minor had great support from the SIU faculty and staff and administrators that were there. And we are really pleased that you received this award, Chancellor Minor, and congratulations. So we will now have Chancellor Minor's report, and then we'll go back to you, Chancellor Lane. Chancellor Minor.
Thank you, Chair Gilbert, and thanks also for recognizing the award. I do want to say it was extremely important to have members of the board present for that evening. And as you noted, the SIUE community was so well represented. It was a good night for the university, I think. And it goes a long way for establishing our footprint in the greater St. Louis community. So thanks again for mentioning that and for attending. I want to just start with a few brief updates in my report this afternoon that will focus primarily on our mission to produce scholars and leaders and our commitment to serving as a credible and viable community partner. Just last month, we celebrated the 20th anniversary at INSERT, the National Corn to Ethanol Research Center at SIUE. Some of you may know the goal at SIUE is to be at the center of what is happening in the region and to be at the center of what is possible in the region. And NSERC's position in the biofuel industry is a critical part of meeting that ambition. Some of the stats associated with NSERC continue to blow me away. Let me just remind you. Every commercial corn to ethanol facility in the United States utilizes at least one product or technology that has passed through the doors of NSERC. For every dollar of public funding that NSERC has received, there is a return of $5.40. And the one that is totally impressive to me, the technologies that have been commercialized at NSERC generate more than $7 billion in revenue annually. For 20 years, NSERC has used its unique research position to situate itself as a leader. NSERC will be at the center of biofuels and a more sustainable future. Pictured here on the slide at the top is Eric McAfee, CEO of Omnibus, located in Silicon Valley. He served as the keynote speaker, and he is also a partner in the development of novel technology at NSERC, including the first conversion of almond orchard pulp waste into ethanol. I want to be clear about this. People from Silicon Valley are picking up the phone, calling NSERC about the development and future of biofuels. On the bottom of that slide is the NSERC Director of Research and her mentee standing in front of the first plug-in hybrid electric vehicle that has been converted so that ethanol serves as the backup versus the electric battery. Some of that technology was produced right there at NSERC, which is exciting. To mark the anniversary, on November 15th, Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski delivered remarks on the House floor celebrating NSERC's impact on biorenewable industries in the state and beyond. After her appointment to the House Committee on Agriculture, Representative Budzinski quickly formed the Agriculture Advisory Council this year, of which NSERC is a stakeholder, along with leaders from Illinois, USDA, 2 members of the Illinois General Assembly, and local farmers. Really proud of what's happening at NSERC. It's always important for me to share ways that SIUE faculty are shaping and advancing knowledge. Pictured here is Dr. Charlie Blake, an assistant research professor in the Center for STEM Research, Education, and Outreach. We call it the STEM Center. Dr. Blake is the recipient of a National Science Foundation grant for impacts of inclusive biology curriculum on student attitudes and STEM interests. The project works to update biology instructional content in high school curricula to decrease social cultural biases. The project will increase our understanding of how biology instruction can impact student assumptions about biology and ultimately STEM fields. Dr. Blake's research will measure the impact of using more inclusive biology lesson plans on high school student attitudes and beliefs regarding STEM careers. The research instruments and curriculum materials developed as a part of the study will create tools for practitioners and encourage future research on more inclusive STEM education, which is really exciting. The next slide, many of the board members, we bring this presentation, I have brought this presentation to the board for 2 consecutive years. And I have said on previous occasions, I really struggle to demonstrate, articulate, communicate the true impact of Give Kids a Smile Day and our Veterans Outreach Program that takes place in the School of Dental Medicine. You may remember that Give Kids a Smile Day and Veterans Day outreach events took place again this year. And the magic for this event really takes place in the lobby. So for the first year, I spent a lot of time in the clinic to understand the operation of the event. For the second year, I spent more time in the lobby talking to people about how they arrived to this clinic for this service. In Southern Illinois today, 2.8 million people live in areas that are federally designated as having limited access to dental care. The 18th annual Give Kids a Smile event aimed to bridge that gap by offering free comprehensive dental care to 168 children, a 25% increase from last year. The School of Dental Medicine is an important asset to our community, and it provides access to care for patients who would have all kinds of difficulty seeing a dentist otherwise. While visiting this year, I had the opportunity to speak with one mother who traveled for more than an hour to Alton because it was the only opportunity for her child with special needs to be seen by a dentist. And when you speak to her about what the appointment means to her and for her child, you truly understand the impact of our efforts. It may be also surprising to some that today, 85% of veterans who receive care through the VA do not receive a dental benefit. 85% of veterans who receive care through the VA today do not receive a dental benefit. That's roughly 7.8 million veterans who do not have benefits to cover dental care. During the Veterans Day outreach, which happens in November, Give Kids a Smile Day happens in October, 88 veterans received full dental exams and treatment at absolutely no cost to them. Pictured here are 5 veterans I had the opportunity to meet in the lobby. The 2 individuals on the left of the screen are a father-daughter combo who came to see us that day. Both of them are veterans. And on the right of the screen are 2 individuals who both attended SIUE on the GI Bill. Both of them told amazing stories about missing their high school graduation due to being drafted and what it was like to return to SIUE as a student during a time when there was, shall I say, mixed support for the ongoing war in Vietnam. It was an absolute honor to serve them and to see their gratitude for what was happening in that dental clinic. To meet the critical dental health needs of our region, I want to note that SIUE aims to expand our clinical operations in Edwardsville and East St. Louis going forward. You may know this is a great follow-on to the conversation about communications and marketing. We have taken very intentional steps to enhance our visual identity, both in the city of Edwardsville, but also in the region. And I would argue that that has to start in downtown Edwardsville. Pictured here on the screen is Denny Schlarma, a MFA student or Masters of Fine Arts student at SIUE who designed this mural behind, which is behind her, on Main Street in downtown Edwardsville. This is a 1,000 square foot mural, depicts the cougar overlooking Main Street and a sunset view of the Edwardsville campus. We're currently working on additional SIUE murals in Alton and East St. Louis, so more to come on that. In addition to our local footprint, we are also engaging with students and families regionally with our new Own Tomorrow campaign. Our campaign is currently in full swing using a number of advertising platforms with the intent to inspire and motivate students to take charge of their future at SIUE and Own Tomorrow. The billboards that you see here on the screen are 2 of a collection of billboards have been strategically placed throughout the region, serving as a vibrant reminder of the transformative power of an SIUE degree. The billboards are just one component of our comprehensive Own Tomorrow campaign, which also includes commercials, digital and traditional radio spots, and a full-on social media campaign. I want to take a moment just to thank Tedric Welcome, who you saw just minutes ago. Kedra and her team have done a phenomenal job of moving this campaign forward and reestablishing the visual identity of the university and working closely with our enrollment management team to figure out more precisely where the digital media and ads need to be placed in order to be visible and attractive to students. So thank you, Kedra and team, for all of the good work. The next update I struggle with because I didn't think a Halloween parade was necessarily appropriate for a board update. But for more than 100 years, the Edwardsville Glen Carbon Halloween Parade took place on a cold October night. And if you have not had an opportunity to see it, I will tell you that this is not just a Halloween parade, which is why it made the presentation. This is a signature event for this community, and again, has been ongoing for more than 100 years. For the first time, over 200 SIUE students, volunteers, and floats, including the SIUE Baja car, the solar car, which you see there on the screen, the Formula car, the School of Nursing, club sports, what you see there, our intercollegiate athletic programs engaged over 10,000 spectators, another way to expand our presence in the city of Edwardsville. This was the first time that we had the largest contiguous representation in the parade, and the community certainly noticed that. Our goal, quite honestly, this year was to take this parade over. And next year, my hope is that we go even further with our presentation and representation than the parade. Just shortly or quickly, I want to acknowledge our men's soccer program. During the last board meeting, we were enjoying the victory in the historic bronze boot match held at City Park in St. Louis against SLU. But I want to let you know that this soccer team, that was one of the early games in the season. This soccer team finished their season by securing the 24th NCAA tournament appearance after winning the OVC championship with the victory of 1-0 or 1-0, I think is the proper terminology, versus the University of the Incarnate Word. The team entered the NCAA tournament as the only unbeaten team with a 16-0-3 record, and with a 9-game winning streak, the longest winning streak in this Division I season. The team had an amazing first round effort, but unfortunately fell 2-1 to the University of Memphis. But that's not the best part of their season. I am extraordinarily proud of what our student athletes accomplished off the field. You may remember that I often bring the NCAA GSR rating to the board. We were #1 in the state of Illinois, #5 among public institutions for graduating our student athletes. 8 of the student athletes on this soccer team were on the Dean's List in spring 23, and the team's average GPA going into this academic year was 3.27. I think it is certainly worth noting and taking a moment to acknowledge their accomplishments on the pitch this season, and more importantly, in the classroom. My last topic I want to share with the board this morning has to do with expanding our commitment to college opportunity. This is really important to, I think, our SIUE community and what we mean for affordability and accessibility in the region. So before I conclude my report, I want to share one final but important update that highlights our commitment to college affordability. You may know that the SIUE commitment currently covers tuition and fees for students arriving from households with assets less than $63,575. This is a compliment, I think, to Provost Taylor's mention earlier in the report this morning. Last year, I had the opportunity to meet Virgie Jones, who is pictured here on the screen. Virgie is now a thriving second-year student in civil engineering from Cahokia Heights, and she is doing extraordinarily well at SIUE. Virgie was quoted as saying that I knew I could only go to college if I figured out a way to pay for it. I am pleased to share that effective fall 2024, SIUE will revise the SIUE commitment and launch a new commitment program focused on the St. Louis Metro in the interest of preserving college affordability and accessibility for families. So starting fall 2024, The income qualifying threshold for eligibility for the SIUE commitment will increase to $113,575, allowing a greater number of low-income and middle-income families to qualify for that commitment. Students must be Illinois residents who attended an Illinois high school and be enrolled full-time in a bachelor's degree program. So that is an adjustment to the existing SIUE commitment program. We will also launch a new commitment that we are referring to as SIUE Gateway Opportunity Program, or SIUE Go. So the SIUE Go program extends the same opportunity to the St. Louis region and families with the same income qualifications as the SIUE commitment. Students must be Missouri residents who attended a Missouri high school and be enrolled full-time in a bachelor's degree program. Participating counties include St. Louis County, Franklin, Jefferson, Lincoln, St. Charles, and Warren. I tried to provide a short map. We have consistently heard from counselors in the region on the Missouri side of the river that so many students who desire to attend SIUE find it out of reach because they do not qualify for state aid that is available to students in Illinois. And so for many of the students, for example, in North County, these students are 20 minutes from our campus, a lot closer to our campus than they are to Columbia or lots of other places in Missouri. And this is a way for us to provide access to these families. Currently, nearly a third of undergraduates at SIUE are Pell eligible, and we are proud to share that almost half of our students in the most recent graduating class graduated with zero loan debt. We want that same opportunity for students who are literally in our backyard. And with that, Chair Gilbert, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Chancellor Minor, and good luck with your meeting this afternoon. Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
Chancellor Lane, will you
Thank
present
you.
your report for the Carbondale campus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, if we could get our first slide up. I unfortunately have to start out with some very sad news. On Monday, two of our students passed away tragically in a car accident near campus on their way to class. I want to recognize those students. Wolfgang Gustavson is an undergraduate student in automotive technology from Park Ridge, Illinois. And Frank Martinez, undergraduate student, automotive tech from Des Plaines. Never gets easier. We've had a few deaths this semester. I want to thank Bob Morgan, our Dean of Health and Human Sciences. It's in his area. Bob's done a tremendous job in making sure he's staying connected with our faculty, our staff, and the students, as well as our provost supporting Bob. You know, when we talk to the parents, it's very difficult to have those discussions and alert parents. I think our chief of police behind me, I know Chief Newman's done an amazing job. And then Jeff Bergen, our vice chancellor for student affairs. There's a lot of follow-up and work that goes into to this when things like this happen. But two very promising students that lived here on campus that have moved on. So we'll continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Next slide. Before I mention this, I want to thank a few folks here. I want to thank, it's been a long semester. I want to thank our faculty for hanging in there. I know we've got finals coming up. I want to thank our staff. I want to thank our students for hanging in there as well. I know that they have been doing a great job and taking care of their business. We just celebrated our holiday reception in this building on Monday. I had an opportunity to really debrief and relax and have some holiday cookies and cakes and all these other things out there. I think it was good for us to get together and do that after this long semester. We also celebrated our annual service awards. Those awards recorded 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and actually 40-year service employees. We had a gentleman here, 40 years of service. And so one of our recognitions was a guy that all of you know who is a short timer. Later today, we're going to have his retirement reception. He doesn't look anywhere near retirement, but that's Matt Bauman. And I know many of you will be in attendance at 3 o'clock. Matt's done a tremendous job since I arrived. Matt's the local historian. Matt knows everybody. He's just done a great job in helping me in my time and being here and understanding the culture and the landscape of the institution. So Matt, here, I want to give Matt a round of applause. His last board meeting, so.
Chancellor, the thing is that Matt probably knows where all the bodies are buried.
He does. Yeah, he does know that. I agree with you on that. Moving on to football, I'd be remiss if I didn't really thank our head coach, Nick Hill. You know, Nick's done an amazing job. He's a local rock star here in our region. Everyone knows Nick. So it's really good to have a head coach that's got some Southern Illinois ties. He's had a great season this year. Just a quick fact, since 2020, SIU is the only 5 FCS programs that have won 3 or more playoff games. Had a real tough game last Saturday against the University of Idaho. We should have won that game, but we came up a little bit short and it ended our season. But I will tell you, that was a nationally televised game. Dr. Hightower, it's hard to pay for that kind of advertisement. So, you know, having the entire country be able to focus in on our game was pretty phenomenal. And we also hosted our first playoff game here the week before that and beat Nichols 35-0. So a lot of excitement will help in our recruiting efforts for the class that'll be signed here later this month. So I know Nick and his staff are really excited about that. Next slide. Another national audience opportunity that we had here this week. Again, it helps to have these national opportunities. This was on CBS Sports. We brought Oklahoma State in here and we beat them. And the place was packed, as you can see. We've got our dog pound that was down there. We've got a lot of our Saluki folks that came back out to really cheer this team on to victory. So really excited about this. There's some history. I guess we opened the Banterra Center, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Tim is here, maybe back in '64. I think this was, I think we had Oklahoma State here then, and we beat them then, right? Dr. Mahoney, I think you got all that sports history. We beat them then, we beat them again this year. So really exciting to have that Banterra Center really going crazy in there. Our new video boards were up as well, and I think people had a great time there. Next slide. I was hoping that Chancellor Minor went before me, and I'm glad he's off because I didn't want to rub this in. And for those that are visiting from SIU Edwardsville, I apologize, but we had to share this slide. It was a good game about the first 2 or 3 minutes, and I think we just opened it up and jumped on SIU pretty good. So if you notice, there's Dr. Mahoney and Laura. They had to be real neutral. They couldn't cheer for anybody.
They look serious, don't they?
I felt so bad for them. You know, they couldn't cheer for any team. They just had to kind of stay real stoic, and you know, and we understand that. But hats off to Kelly, coach behind White. She's doing a great job. The ladies there did a great job. SIU had an incredible point guard transfer from Tulsa. I think it's KK Rodriguez. I hope she's doing okay. She went down during that game, but before that, she was scoring at will. So, you know, I hope she's doing okay when the docs check her out. Next slide.
Mr. Lane, before you move on, I just want to note that I was in blue and Laura was in brown. So we were not even wearing anybody's colors.
Yeah.
We were very conscious about what we were doing.
Very conscious. I will tell you, the night before he had on his Saluki socks. So that was, you know, you had to have those on for that game. We're in the midst of our Saluki takeovers, and I wanted to show a quick video here if you can hit play. We're taking over Springfield, and we're excited the Salukis are here. We've got our alums that are here. We've got our donors. We've got our state representatives, our senators, our friends, the Saluki friends. This is a great, great time to be here in Springfield.
I am extremely excited about the Saluki takeover. As I walked into the room today and to see the energy, we have had Salukis all over Springfield.
I am a graduate of Southern Illinois University Carbondale, proud Saluki, and I have participated in their takeover events in the Chicago area and happy that they have made their way to Springfield where they are meeting with high schools, principals, counselors, trying to work out agreements to get their students to Carbondale.
I walk around in my maroon blazer all the time, and I'm usually the only one in the crowd, so I feel at home here with a sea of maroon in Springfield at the state capitol.
I am so happy to have the Saluki takeover happen in Springfield. It's a great event. So many alumni have always been in Springfield representing SIU.
SIU's done an incredible job traveling the state of Illinois, and to have them here in the state capitol, it's exciting to me.
The experience was amazing. I was here with a whole lot of Salukis. They made me feel like I was at home. They made the experience even better.
What I can say about SIU is that it's provided me intense community, supportive alumni, engaging opportunities, and fun experiences. I'm excited to always get a Saluki intern to make sure that we in the state of Illinois legislature have the best start to be successful for the people of Illinois.
Thank you for that. These events are so much fun. We get to engage with our alums. We get to engage with, as you can see, our faculty, staff, students, or state reps there. It's usually myself, it's President Mahoney. It's all of my staff that show up there as well. Matt Kupek and the foundation do an amazing job. Jeff Gleam, I think, is here as well. They do an amazing job getting these together. We've completed 2. We have a few more to go. And while we're out there, we're really working, believe it or not. What you don't see is our meetings that we have with superintendents, with principals, with high schools, with community colleges, and all of these areas. We use it as a recruitment opportunity. So it's really our opportunity to get out there. Our next one is coming up here in February. As we're strategically targeting Nashville, Tennessee, we think there's some enrollment pockets there that we can tap into. Obviously, Florida will be in St. Louis during Arch Madness. And then we're having a special capstone event for the tour here in Southern Illinois with the Saluki Takeover. That tour will be aligned with all the students who have accepted admissions. Just like student athletes sign on National Signing Day and they put their hats on and those kinds of things. We'll do the same celebration. Matt, I think we're having that at Walker's Bluff. Is that still correct? So that'll be at Walker's Bluff. So very excited about that event. Next slide. What have we been doing the last couple of months? It's focused on enrollment. You know, our recruitment efforts to plan for the fall of 2024. Everything that our folks are doing on the recruiting side of the house, to lock in with our students coming in the fall is what we're focused on. So next slide. I want to give you an idea about where we recruit. We're all over, but as you can see, there's some very strategic states that we're focused on. You heard Dr. Caldwell come up a moment ago and talk about how many states have really moved away from their DE&I efforts and essentially tossed them out. We strategically have looked at a few billboards to place in those states to attract students from those areas to make sure they know that we are still welcoming and DEI is alive and well here in the state of Illinois. So we hope to get a lot of students in that respect, particularly from my home state in Texas. So we do have some plans to go down and get more students from those areas. Next slide. Some of the things that we do to really give more exposure to the university is our open houses. And these are well-attended events. It gives us a chance to highlight the great things that are happening here. You know, what's so exciting when we get the Tedric Welcome Center, this is going to be really the entryway into the university. That's where our open houses will begin. So just imagine those students and their families coming in. You can see some of the shots there. They're going to get a real warm welcome coming into a building like that you were able to see a little earlier. Gives you an idea about what we still have coming up in February and April and July. And We're always excited to showcase and highlight the institution, especially here in the region. It means a lot to our folks here in the Southern Illinois region, not just to be physically located, but to be an institution that provides them with access and they know that we want them here. So that's a big initiative that we have going on now. Next slide. Our high school, our recruiters, our coordinators, our field representatives, these folks get after it. They have the entire state that is segmented and separated out. Wendell Williams and his staff, they do an amazing job making sure that we have our visits into these high schools. Wendell and I really follow this up as our recruiters may meet with counselors and teachers. Wendell and I usually go and meet with superintendents and principals. So we want to make sure those doors stay open for SIU Carbondale and that they see it's not just our recruiters out there, it's actually us. When I go on these visits and Wendell goes with me, we always ask the question, how many presidents or chancellors have ever been here? By show of hands, and they go, no hands go up. So we always think that's our advantage. If students are able to say, hey, the president or the chancellor, SIU showed up and they were actually here recruiting me, that goes a long way and students really remember that. So that's one of our strategies that we're going to keep and continue on. Next slide. Our Imagine tours, these tours they're incredible. You can see some of the schools that have been here. We literally go and pick these students up on 57 passenger buses. A lot of it's coordinated through the state reps or senators in the areas that you're looking at right there. And we put students on buses, we bring them here, and we give them a chance to imagine what it would be like to go to school and be a Saluki at SIU Carbondale. When they drive up on their buses, we take them right by the football stadium, and on the big scoreboard, we have their names listed with the school, and they just sit there and film it. They can't believe it. They're seeing it. It's like the athletes get their names up there on the big screen. They love it. They take pictures of it, but it's a really exciting moment. A lot of students, we always feel like if we can get them on campus, we've got them sold. If we can get them here, we got them. Right. And so that's what our team is working on to make sure that they have those experiences. A lot of students can't get here, believe it or not, even from an hour away or 2 hours away, and definitely 4 or 5 hours away. It's almost impossible for some of our students. We've even gone out of our state and brought students in from, as you can see, Lone Star College. We brought even staff in there, advisors that are coming from Lone Star that are hopefully going to help transition or transfer students to us. But we bring them here to experience the institution as well. And those have been really exciting tours. Dr. Frazier, our Vice Chancellor for Anti-Racism, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Wendell Williams, his staff, a lot of people are involved in these particular visits. So we're going to keep that going. Next slide. Our Saluki commitment and then our Saluki transfer commitment, when you look at the average household income, whether it's Jackson County or Williamson County or Southern Illinois region, we know that this is going to continue to be a game changer. We had it at 63.5. We bumped that up to 103,000. We feel like that's going to cast a larger net for families in this particular area where college was probably not an opportunity for their son or daughter to go to college because maybe they weren't going to be eligible for some of the Pell Grants that were out there. So we think this is going to tap into families that maybe they have a mom who's a teacher and a dad who's a plumber, and they still didn't quite get to that 103,000. So this is going to help them tremendously as they're trying to plan for college, and we're excited about that. It also works with the Saluki transfer commitment. So students at our two-year institutions can take advantage of this as well as we continue to keep the pathway open between 2- and 4-year institutions. So we're really, really excited about that. I will tell you on the next slide, if it were not for the foundation, and this is a secret sauce, the foundation, because of a donor that we have that to date, Matt, I think we're up to 2 million. Does that sound right? 2 million. So that really fuels the Saluki Step Ahead, where we're able to give a financial incentive in the junior year and the senior year for students at about $8,000 for those 2 years to complete, and they can do that in their own backyard. They don't have to come to Carbondale. They can do their last 2 years online. As you heard our provost talk about this morning, they do a great job in making sure those transcripts are not applied just to the transcript, but that are applied towards the degree. So there's a lot of work that goes on with our faculty and our provosts and our deans to make sure that when students come from community colleges, they don't get upset or disappointed, realizing that maybe those hours didn't quite transfer. We're making sure from day one, if they get into those 12 or 13 programs that we have, we're going to expand that those credits come over and apply towards a degree, right? We don't want them to have to stay any longer than they need to, because those students are not able to afford anything over 120 hours. So we want to be very mindful of that. Next slide. Big partnership that we have. Dallas College has about 7 to 8 community colleges. It's a system, used to be Dallas County Community College District. It's the second largest community college system, maybe even a tie for third. Lone Star College is the largest. Lot of students, as we talk about not just being able to increase enrollment from students from the state of Illinois or in our region, we've got to be able to look outside of our institution. A lot of these students will be, as you saw in the screen before, students that complete their last 2 years fully online. That's a market that we're tapping into to expand. We see some expansion opportunities there. But this partnership for us will bring several students. We're attractive out of state because we have no out-of-state tuition. There's no out-of-state cost. So when we look at institutions, particularly around Dallas, you're talking about the University of North Texas, Texas A&M Commerce, University of Texas at Arlington. Those are institutions that we beat financially out of state. It's cheaper for some of those students in Texas to go to school out of state here than it is even in their own home state. So we're strategically targeting those institutions in that state to get more Salukis to come north. Next slide. A lot of work being done on the highways. Our billboards, this is thanks to Jeff Harmon and his staff. These are messages that we're trying to get out there that we hope resonate with folks who are interested in what we're providing. As you can see, they're very targeted. So we have them all over. And the next slide will give you kind of a sense of where we go. Pete Lucas, Jeff Harmon and his staff, we spent a lot of time strategically looking at where we want to place these billboards. And believe it or not, we have a lot of hours of meetings about where things should go and where they should be. And anytime we see a billboard somewhere, we kind of perk up and go, well, why don't we have one there, or what's going on, or who's trying to recruit where? So it's very competitive market. In Chicago, as you know, that's an area that's a pretty large area, and we've got a lot of Saluki alums up there, so it's always good to have our brand there. I mentioned a little bit about Dallas and Fort Worth, Houston as well. Again, there's a real target in those areas, particularly Texas, because of what's happening politically that we're trying to take advantage of. So we've got some really strategically designed billboards there to try and attract Salukis to come up from those areas. Next slide. This, again, a lot of work that goes right over my head when Jeff comes in to try and talk to me about this stuff in terms of the impressions, the number of clicks. We know at any given time, Dr. Hightower, this is your slide again, but we know at any given time, right, where folks are actually trying to find out about us and what messages are actually being read. What we need to do to pump some things up in certain areas. If there are a lot of clicks in one particular area, if there's some interest that's out there, then we know how to shift and maneuver. And so I think it's really good for our area and our office in Jeff's world to have this information. Next slide. Again, more information about the number of impressions, again, back to clicks. Just again, it's intelligence, right? It's information that allows our folks to be able to be flexible in our communications and where we're communicating. We get a sense of what people are interested in, what they're searching for, and it allows us to, again, adjust our messages as we go. Next slide. This is a program-specific slide. So this tells us, so if the provost is interested in knowing, well, are there people out there that want a criminology, criminal justice degree, or agriculture, or any of those areas? It just tells us how much more we can beef up the information as it relates to our programs, what kind of ads and things that we have out there at different sources. So we're going to continue to use that type of technology to help drive where we're actually spending dollars to recruit students and put our brand out there. Next slide. I mentioned this earlier. University centers in Chicagoland, being in Chicago, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have a lot of as you can see, programs that are in those areas. College of DuPage, these are partnerships that we've just signed here in the last couple of months. McHenry County College is getting a university center as well. We'll be heavily involved there with those particular programs. Some we've had up there a while is Harry S. Truman, Joliet Junior College, Richard Daley. University Center Harper College is relatively new. We've got some programs there. And then University Center at Lake County we're very excited about some of the partnerships up there. But we have folks that live in that area. They work for us, but they live up there and they recruit in those areas. Agnes, who we actually got from Harper College, is leading up the way as one of our assistant vice chancellors for external affairs. So she does a great job there. But Chicago is an area that we've got to continue to bring students from those areas, the Chicagoland area, and then some with the Saluki Step Ahead can stay up there. But it's an area we're obviously targeting. I just wanted you to see the work happening in Chicago. Next slide. You heard this earlier, SIUE has a partnership with Academic Partnerships. Trustee Sharma, as you heard, they're out of Dallas, Texas. They've been around for years. We just signed an agreement there to launch 12 online master's programs. These are more accelerated programs. So obviously we're targeting some of the adult student populations for these degrees. We think, and they think, that there's a definite market out there that's going to be able to help us attract more students and continue to boost the enrollment there. So just signed that partnership deal a couple of weeks ago. Really excited to see how that takes off, but you'll hear more about that as we program and bring back to the board information. Next slide. That concludes. I do want to thank my staff. You heard our provost mention, we consider ourselves to be servant leaders. They've done an amazing job. We had to quiet them down back here. They sounded like the dog pound before the meeting started. So they're all back in this corner back here, Chairman, just so you know, they're usually back there trying to get things together. But I do want to thank them publicly. And again, just appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Lane, and thank you and your staff for this wonderful report. Dean Cruz for the medical school.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very good. Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. I'm going to highlight the Lincoln Scholars Program, which is a program for interprofessional education medical students to get all 4 years of their training here in Carbondale in a rural program. I think most of you know that prior to 4 years ago, we had 72 medical students a year. They did their first year here and the last 3 years in Springfield. We then added 8 students a year for this program. Even though we've had over 6,000 graduates of the medical school and our residency training programs, and even though they enter rural practice at a rate greater than 90% higher than the graduates in other medical schools, there's still a real dearth of physicians and other healthcare professionals in rural areas. So that's the purpose here. So here's the description of the program. 8 medical students a year, prepares students for rural practice to try to inspire them. They do their first year of training in problem-based learning groups with physician assistant students, the most immersive of all interprofessional programs in the United States. They have longitudinal learning with a mentor in rural practice. All required block rotations are in rural healthcare settings. They can do their non-required block rotations in any place that they want to, and we do want them to be prepared to do any specialty and do that anywhere that they wish. But there is support from countless people across the entire area, and you'll see that in a slide coming up. But first of all, a word about the history. We thought about this for many years, but then the idea was developed by Dr. Jim Daniels and Sherry Kelly, a family physician and physician assistant. They did the feasibility study through a grant from the Society of Teachers of Family Medicine. The foundational principles were to design the program to meet rural healthcare needs and remote area needs, and to have interprofessional training emphasized. So the curriculum was designed, we got accreditation in 2019, and the inaugural class went in 2020. Now, here is all of the support that we have. As you see, the leaders in the School of Medicine, it takes quite a few people to administer the program. The mentors across this area, probably many of them are your physicians, I would imagine. Many teaching sites in local towns, and many organizations that have formal support. We also have many that have informal agreements as well. So here are the outcomes for the program. You see that the first class will graduate in May of 2024. They started out with 8 in their class, but in the first week of medical school, there was both a personal and family issue related to health, and 2 of them had to tend to that rather than go to medical school at that time. They've caught up though. The interprofessional education was the first of its kind in the United States that was done with the physician assistants. I think it's still the only one, and it's going very, very well. Another outcome is that these students take the same test that the other 72 students do at the SIU School of Medicine. Their performance is the same as those other 72 students. And then they have to take the first and second step of their national licensure examination while in medical school. Historically, the failure rate on that test for SIU medical students is half that of the rest of the country, and they have continued that same type of performance. So here are the Lincoln Scholar Program medical students right now. They're your physicians of the future. Looks a pretty good looking bunch there, and they even look more relaxed here as they're out on one of their field days. So our motto for this is if you train them, they will stay, and we're trying to fix a big problem related to healthcare in rural areas. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Dean Cruz, you forgot to mention something. One of your first year students is the reigning Miss Illinois.
Well, that is true. She is indeed, and she goes off to the Miss America pageant on Saturday night. So that's good.
Well, and of course, she's representing not only the state of Illinois, but also Illinois University.
Well, that is true indeed.
And
she'll be a great representative. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna wait until she won the Miss America.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, at regular board meetings, 30 minutes will be reserved to receive comments or questions from members of the public and employees of the university. Speakers' comments or questions should not exceed 5 minutes. Persons wishing to speak shall contact the executive secretary of the board. The executive secretary of the board shall maintain a roster of those seeking to speak. I understand we have what, 10 people, 10 or 11 signed up?
Yes, and we have one by Zoom.
We have one by Zoom. The other ones I think are associated with AFSCME. And what I was, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the Zoom speaker first, and then we will take the speakers from SIUE and AFSCME. What I would suggest, since speakers are limited to 5 minutes, with that many speakers, your comments would only be about 3 minutes long. I would recommend that maybe you narrow that down to maybe 5 speakers to give you 5 minutes each, versus 9 speakers with basically 3 minutes each. But that's up to you. But I would think that you'd be able to get more said if fewer people speak, because it might be very repetitive from one speaker to the next. So we will take the Zoom speaker first. Who is that?
Kendra Speech.
Ms. Speeth, are you on Zoom?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you all for being able to speak with me today. And I want to say that I'm very pleased to hear everything that's going on with the university. So since I only have 5 minutes or less, I'll go ahead and let you all know that after hearing everything, it pains me to have to explain to you why I'm on today, but it's regarding my experience as an African-American disabled student. I attended SIU Law in Carbondale, and I do want to say that I attempted to go through the chain of command, so to speak, through the process to let the school know what I was experiencing. But that was not possible. So I wanted to come before the board to let you all know what I've experienced. So I came to SIUC Law as a 1L in 2021. I was admitted with a full scholarship from North Carolina Vocational Rehab, 100% coverage for school, housing, food, and everything. I also received $12,000 a year in tuition from the law school. And unfortunately, in my first semester in 2021, I contracted COVID. Once I contracted COVID, because I also had other disabilities, I became very ill. Unfortunately, I was not believed by the administration or DSS. So I did not get necessary accommodations or assistance with attending classes, which led to me having to withdraw from school in 2021, the December of 2021. I was also denied an extension to take my exams during that year. Consequently, I had to withdraw. The most poignant thing that I want you all to know is that while I was denied the ability to take an extension for my exams, another law student was granted that extension. That law student will be graduating this year in the spring. It would have been my graduation time as well, but I was denied that. I stayed through and fought through staying in Carbondale until the fall of 2023 because I want to become a lawyer. I want to attend SIU. I want to experience everything that you all have talked about today. I am an asset. I chose SIU because of what I read about online, because of what you all are talking about, because I believe in the vision that you all have for SIU. And I know I can be a part of that vision. So I stayed and I joined up to come back and be a member of the SIU community again. However, yet again, I experienced more discrimination from the SIU DSS department, from the law school administration. Again, I'm a cancer survivor, and in May of 2023, I got cancer again. But my doctors were on point. They made sure DSS had everything that they needed. But again, my accommodations were largely denied. Nothing was set up when I started law school. So within my first 2 weeks, my doctors told me, withdraw. You do not need to go through this. So I got on here today because I wanted you all, the board, to know, after I have tried to communicate with the powers that be in Carbondale, I even physically went to talk with the Bursar's administrator, and she did not get back with me because I have a bill now of $2,500 for a scholarship that was overage money. But I'm coming to you all because this is the last straw, other than, my Lord and Savior handling my battles for me. But I want you all to be aware of what I have gone through as an African-American female student with disabilities at SIU. Having not been troubled, having not caused anyone any problems, I have experienced an inordinate amount of hardships on this campus. And I think it is unfair. And I think that the vision that you all lay out for wanting to have DEI, for the campus and for all of your university system, I think it's wonderful, but you need to be aware that it's not being implemented. And there are some serious problems. Thank you for your time. It hurts me to know that everything that I have purchased as a Saluki, all the goals that I have wanting to be a Saluki, they're not being fulfilled right now. And my graduation date has been moved several times. I don't know what's in the future for me, but I know right now I don't have 100% coverage. Vocational rehab, when I'm not in school, I don't have anything. I'm not a student right now, and I should be a student. I should be walking with everybody else.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Thank you. Next speaker.
Julie Latempt Brazier.
Julie is going to speak first. I just wanted to address the body, and I believe it was you, President Mahoney, or whoever suggested that we try to tighten our remarks. I'm just giving some direction. We're going to try to do that. We would like to hear from as many people who made the effort to make the trip today as possible, but we will try to keep our remarks below that 5-minute line so that we can get everybody in. So just please bear with us. We'll do the same.
Good morning. My name is Julie Latempt Brazier, and I'm the president of AFSCME at SIU Edwardsville. I'm also an office manager. Today, it's been 525 days since we've had a new and fair contract. That's 756,000 minutes. President Mahoney, I know you hear us, but are you listening to us? You only received a 2% pay increase in your salary this year. And I know you know how that is, right? 2%. How will he make ends meet? Will you be able to pay your power bill? Your groceries? Will they be on the table for your family? Christmas is just around the corner. Will your family receive presents? A lot of our staff's families won't. 2%, that's 2 pennies on a dollar. That small 2% raise increased your salary to over $443,000 this year. You received a one-time performance bonus of $115,000. Your 2%, $115,000, has been given to you. That would be 2% for all of our 207 members. Yet you get that for one person. So was your increase tied to enrollment? You are benefiting from our chancellor cutting salaries, digging into our pockets, and taking our money and disabling our families. Our new financial package given to us on Monday tears at our income. It shreds the foundation on which we live. Pennies on the dollar. Literally, in most instances, the amount is a 6-cent increase at most. Do we have your mutual respect? Do you treat us with dignity? Do you recognize our value? Are we valuable? If you value us, the definition in this instance of valuing employees, when you value someone, you reward or recognize your employees for behavior that reflects the core values of our university and of our work at home. So how do you know you're valued? These pennies, this is not value. This is not dignity, nor is it respect. I've asked a member to come today and to share with you.
Please wrap it up, man. If you want the other speakers to speak, we want to listen to them. So you have to wrap it up.
Brenda Williman will be coming to speak with you next. She is one of our members that is undignified and devalued.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Brenda Williman. I'm work in the Applied Health Department at SIUE. I'm currently an office support specialist, but I'm doing the work of an office manager. In my 17 years working in higher education, worked at College of DuPage, SWIC, and St. Louis Community College. Took this job so that I could be closer to my family. My hourly rate at SIUE is the lowest per hour at any of those previous institutions. I make $16.36 an hour. I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, most importantly, I'm a mother. I have a daughter, Zoe, she's 13 years old. My husband and I are self-employed. full-time benefits are very important to me. Being able to feed and support my family should not come as a detriment to my other benefits. Since the pandemic, my husband's income has been reduced significantly. This summer, he underwent aortic valve replacement. Yes, at a young age, he had to have heart surgery. I lost my mother in 2022. I had to take leave to bring her home on hospice. I brought her home in April 2022. My mom was a very giving person. If we ever needed anything, I was an only child. If we ever needed anything, she was always there to support us. She helped us out with bills. She helped us out with groceries. I've now lost any security network that I had. We're literally one paycheck away from poverty and family ruin. This past year, I've worked 2 to 3 part-time jobs in addition to my full-time position at the university. Last fall, we qualified for SNAP benefits. That's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. You probably all know it as food stamps. Along with LIHEAP, which is the low-income energy assistance program to help with my soaring utility bills. Unfortunately, this spring, my income came in just over the limit for us to receive SNAP benefits. I no longer have that safeguard of being able to consistently put food on my table. My daughter Zoe qualifies for free breakfast and lunch at school. And it's very hard. It's made her aware she needs to eat those meals.
Please wrap it up, man. Your time.
Provide it. She now has the pressure of knowing that her family cannot afford to feed her. We've also been notified by the school that she qualifies for a holiday food basket and holiday gifts.
Ma'am, your time is up. If the other speaker, if we want to hear the other speakers, well, will you please remove this individual from the interrupting the proceedings. Please remove him. I will give you 30 more seconds, please.
Our daughter was given candy last year for Christmas because that was all I could give her with my SNAP benefits. What did you give your kids or grandkids for Christmas? Done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Michael Wilmore.
Hi, the saying of speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, bear with me, okay? I speak on all of them on behalf of over 100 AFSCME members. This is not what I do for a living. I'm chef. And I'm also an SIU legacy. My parents met here. My brother went here. I went here as well. SIU used to be somewhere that people fought to get a job at. I had to wait 6 months to even get hired. And now we can't even keep staff employed because the fair trade for the work that we do, it's not fair. I work at Lentz Dining Hall and I am a frontline person for this university. I meet parents every day. I care about these kids. The 2 kids that got killed, I knew those kids. I fed those kids. And what we are getting paid is not right and it's not fair. We are not disposable and you need to reconsider our pay. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Regina Darden.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gina Darden. I am the local union president of 370 School of Medicine. I am here because we are 8 months over our negotiations to be able to get more money for our union members. We make up 1/3% of SIU School of Medicine, and we are overwhelmingly paid way under what we should be getting. Within the next 4 years, I'm pretty sure inflation is going to be continue to increase. And the fact that we are unable to, when we get our contract, we will be locked in for 4 years. So we would like to make sure we're able to have a livable wage within those 4 years of us being within our contract. And as of right now, we're not, and we're tired of feeling like we have to beg or borrow or do whatever we can just to make ends meet. So that's what we're here to let you all know, that, you know, we need help. We need support. We need you all to reach out to our SIU Dean, Cruz, and everyone else to be able to assist us and help us increase our membership, increase the pay for our members.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Amy Bodenstad.
My name's Amy Bodenstab. I'm Vice President, Chief Steward, Local 2887, AFSCME, SIUE. The contract of employment for President Mahoney states the board trustees is the employer. The contracts of the employment for the chancellor state that President Mahoney is a supervisor for the chancellors. We are here yet again because the decisions your employees make are direct reflection of what you instruct them to do. As a single mom, I've been very careful with my financial decisions. So when I started working at SIUE in 2016, I continued working a second job, trusting that the university system that claims to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion would surely treat their employees fairly. After all, in order to just test for the position of office support specialist, the title I originally held, I had to have 90 to 100 semester hours of college or equivalent work experience plus 12 months as an OSA. And what did the OSA require? An associate's degree or equivalent work experience. So to be clear, my bachelor's degree is not enough to get an OSS position. Currently, an office support specialist at an OSS at SIUE makes $16.30, $27.30, something like that, $16.30 per hour. Yet a busser in the cafeteria at SIUE with no work experience and for whom there is no education required makes $16 an hour full time. This is disgusting and oppressive behavior on the part of upper administration at SIUE. Is that how you instruct your employees to treat us, or will you make them change it? Between 2016 and now, I earned a promotion. Even with a promotion, I had to take on a third job. The third job means I have no days off. On weekends, I work at a domestic violence center. On holidays, I take contract work from a data analytics company. This Monday, my weekend job called, somebody was out sick. So after work at SIUE, I went home, made sure my youngest had dinner, took a 40-minute nap, and went to work. I got off at 6 a.m. Went back home, made sure my youngest got on the school bus, took a 40-minute nap, grabbed a shower, and went to work. Tuesday morning at SIUE, I had an hour and 20 minutes of sleep because SIUE chooses to treat us like we are meaningless numbers, not people. I was only allowed an hour and 20 minutes of sleep. That is disgusting and oppressive behavior on the part of upper administration at SIUE. Is that how you instruct your employees to treat us, or will you make them change it? If you compare the total salaries from 2019 to 2023 for the 78 people SIUE claims are administrators, the increase in that 5 years is almost $1 million for 78 people. If you compare the total salaries for our bargaining unit from 2019 to 2023, that is a decrease
30 more seconds.
$115,000 for 207 of us. A decrease for them, no. A decrease for us and then $1 million increase for them. Is that how you are asking them to treat us, or will you make them change it?
Thank you. Next speaker.
Eddie Pomiant.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Trustees, Mr. President. My name is Eddie Comian. As you know, I'm a staff representative, regional director with AFSCME Council 31. I'm also a proud Saluki. Listening to the discussion today, I'm actually a benefactor of the system that we're talking about here in this meeting. I got advanced high school credit in my high school for classes that I attended at Edwardsville all through the summer of my high school career. So, if you don't like what I've got to say, you have only yourselves and your system to blame. And I was listening closely as people were talking this morning. I think I'd like to call my remarks a theme for my remarks out of somebody else's words today. And I believe it was you, Mr. Gilbert, who said, a dime's not worth a nickel anymore. That's some of the frustration you've heard from our members, and you've heard how long we've been at the table. We have made some small progress since we last reported to you, but that small progress is nowhere near enough to resolve a fair contract for this group. Settling that contract will require this administration to acknowledge the pressure that historic wage stagnation, inflation, a tight job market, and the increasing minimum wage have placed on clerical and support workers at SIU. It will also require administration to match its rhetoric about setting a higher standard for students and the community with higher wages. Your offers to date are nowhere near acceptable for the critical work AFSCME members do here, both at SIUE, the med school, and at Carbondale, as you've heard. You have cited concern over enrollment trends. We point out that serving the current student population, much less a larger one, isn't possible except for us, the support service workers who keep the bills paid, the buildings upright, and the lights on. We do the work that helps make SIU happen. Yet, as we've demonstrated at the bargaining table through our own lived experiences, some of which you've tried not to hear but have heard today, and with academic research, our wages are too low to sustain. You cannot find people to fill those positions currently. This is a fact that no one, not the board, not our local elected leaders. You mentioned Nikki Budzinski. We happened to have the pleasure of her company a couple weeks ago, along with Chris Belt, Jay Hoffman, Katie Stewart. None of them dispute, nor your designees at the table, Dr. Bill, that these wages are too low. So as the lowest paid workers on campus, we ask you to step up and address the pay problem without further delay. And we have some very specific suggestions in this area. You can call them demands. I know this body doesn't like to hear demands, so we'll call them suggestions for now. Number one, we deserve an equal share of the increased revenue that SIU received in this year's state budget. University funding is up 7%. We deserve a minimum increase of the same 7% for all AFSCME represented positions in fiscal year
I'll give you
2023.
30 more seconds. And of course, you can submit, if there's 1, 2, 3, 4 specific demands, you can submit that to the board in writing if you don't, but we need the.
We're happy to do so. We'd like our truth to ring in the air as well. So I'll take my 30 seconds starting now.
30
Thank
seconds.
you. Number two, university funding is up 7%. That should be the minimum increase for fiscal year 2023 for AFSCME members. Number two, to prevent compression, as state law raises the minimum wage, not the university, mind you, state law, SIU must raise other wage rates and categories too. All wage brackets must increase to maintain fairness throughout the university and to respect the depth of knowledge and the breadth of experience that those with many years on the job have. And you're looking at many of them behind you or behind me. Number three, stop tying, this is the important one. They're all important. This is a very important one to immediately change the tone and tenor at the bargaining table. Stop tying financial offers for administrative and maintenance workers to student enrollment. We, like everyone, want the university to thrive and grow. And in fact, our work helps make that possible, but it's unfair to demand that we agree to quotas that could and will keep our compensation at an unreasonably low level. AFSCME members come to work every day to serve the SIU community. Despite far too low wages and unworkable low staffing levels, we rise to meet the challenge. Now we call on you to do the same. We uphold our end of the bargain and we'll keep fighting until the administration does too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Lisa Fenton.
Yes.
Tony Farron. Michael Malone.
Good morning, trustees. So as you know, my name is Michael Malone. I've been employed with SIUE for 6 years now, but I am a legacy. I've had 3 family members that worked out there. My aunt is currently employed, has been for the last decade. My grandfather worked 20+ years at the dental school, working your grounds, making sure that they were clean and safe for students. My grandmother spent 25+ years working at both the SIUE campus and the dental school. My family took pride in that for years. I don't think they would today. Not after the way they've seen that you treat your employees or the way that you hold no value in us. We come out, we clean your schools, we clean the buildings, we clean your offices, your restrooms, everywhere. We do so diligently. We maintain everything that we can to make sure that the students and the faculty have a nice, presentable building to come into every day, to learn and to teach. But it's hard to do so every day when you come in and you look at administration that does not value who we are. I'm talking right now and Mr. Hightower is checking his phone. He does not seem to even be interested in what I'm saying.
Hey, I can speak for myself. I'm very much interested in what you said, and don't try and single me out, okay? You don't know what I was checking here. Now, you continue on with your few minutes.
I would
okay?
simply love you to look.
No, you don't. I don't have to look at you.
Whoa. I would love you to just follow me while I speak. I've given you the concern.
Sir, you have one more minute.
You know, I'll leave it at this. We would very much like to earn a livable wage. I could go on, but the truth is, I don't feel any of you really care. I'll continue to do my job because that's what I'm contracted to do. I have no faith in any of you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
No more speakers.
No.
I was Michael Wilmore. I gave my time to
Sorry.
one of the members. That's all right. So I don't have a whole lot to say here. I do have a document that I'd like to give you all. You know, I represent the folks that work at SIU School of Medicine. We've been in bargaining for over 8 months, as Gina said. And the proposals that are on the table, as others said, would see our employees, our members' paychecks shrinking over the next 4 years, right, relative to inflation. There's no economic forecast that sees inflation in any way slowing down to the point where these raises would actually give an increase. They're very minimal over 4 years. So, you know, Gina was here, many others have been here, but we also want you to understand that for each person that's here, there are many back on campus working very hard right now. And I have a document where hundreds of our members from SIU School of Medicine are trying to tell you all, you know, it's not enough. You need to do more. And so we have a bargaining session tomorrow. And I'm sure that the folks in bargaining from the employer's side of the table will be saying, you know, this is all we can give you, but we want you to hear loud and clear that it's not enough.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, if I could have some time. Sure, if I could respond.
Yes, Trustee Ludwig.
Yes, I'd like to thank you all for being here and taking time out of your day, losing some pay to be here. I hear you loud and clear. As someone who works a minimum wage job myself, I understand. I have to live in an apartment that's substandard. I have to provide it for myself as a student, all of that. So I offer a different perspective than many of my fellow board members here today. I feel, as an individual, I do not speak for the board, that we need to bring clerical workers up to a livable and thriving wage. It's essential. They're human just as any of us. We need to provide for them just in the same way we provide for our students. I feel that for the 525 days that we have gone without a contract for some of our workers here, we need to make as many changes retroactively as possible to secure them all that they are due, because they are due a great deal. I believe that we also need to compete with rising inflation and also with compression from minimum wage increases. I feel that we need to embrace equity for all of the people in our institution, and that means for the women-dominated workforce that provide clerical support, We need to shrink that wage and salary gap, and we need to do it quickly if we want to live up to our high and lofty ideals, which I believe we can, and I believe we should. I believe that we need to retain employees who care, employees who have been with our system, with our campuses for years and generations. I believe that we need to keep them and their families happy and healthy. And that is all I have to say. I do not speak for the board, but as someone who understands the position that minimum wage and close to minimum wage employees are at, that is my perspective, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next item is a call for the omnibus motion. The trustees have had approximately 10 days to study the items on the agenda. A certain number are routine and or self-explanatory. As to save time, we act upon them in one motion and vote. Madam Secretary, please read the items suggested for the omnibus motion.
We will have board agenda items H through T. Please note that board agenda item R was withdrawn.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve the items H through T with or R's being withdrawn?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
We're now going to ask for a roll call vote on the omnibus motion.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't hear the name. Who'd you say?
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric,
Yes.
The motion is passed. Okay, we're going to separate F and G. Okay, is there a motion to approve board items F?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded.
Second.
The contracts, F is for the SIU Carbondale. As please call for ask for roll call vote.
Curtis,
Abstain.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric.
Abstain.
Okay, motion is approved. We're now going to have a motion for board item G, which is the SIUE contracts. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Been moved and we hear a second?
So second.
Been seconded. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric.
Abstain.
The motion has been approved. Board item U is a project approval, construction and the naming of the Tedric Welcome Center at SIUC. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric.
Abstain.
I declare the motion is passed. That concludes the business of the board today. The next regular scheduled board meeting is planned to be held February 8th at Illinois University, Edwardsville. A news conference will be held immediately at the conclusion of this meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Keith, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedric.
Yes.
The motion has been approved. This meeting is now adjourned.